From the half-mile dirt track over in Bristol, Tennessee, we swing on over to Richmond, Virginia for a 3/4 of a mile paved oval here for Richmond Raceway and round number 6 of the SimSeats RealSimRacing Cup Series here at Richmond Raceway. It is bound to be yet another thrilling event. 200 laps is what we're getting set for tonight, and no doubt none of us can wait to see just exactly what kind of an event we got in store for us here today. Hello, one and all, and welcome to RaceSpot TV and Monday Night Action. My name is Nola Rempel, and I've got Jonathan Burke beside me in the commentator's box with, of course, Hugo Louise behind the cameras for today's race. Jonathan, goodness gracious me, it's been an exciting start to the season so far. We've gone to, first off, Daytona, then, of course, Homestead, Vegas, Phoenix, the dirt track at Bristol, and now yet another short track at Richmond Raceway, before yet another wild card event at Talladega Superspeedway just next week. So, I tell you what, it is going to be an incredibly thrilling race, and it certainly is not over yet.
No, and I'm excited to see what some of these drivers bring to the table. It's been almost a month since we've seen some of these guys out on asphalt in these cup cars. We've seen some IROC action, we've seen some dirt action, but we haven't seen proper, NASCAR action in quite some time. So now we head to Richmond, Dega, and Kansas all in a row. Should be exciting, and we've had no repeat winners yet this season. A new winner every week. No same winner in the year. That might change tonight. We'll see.
It could very well change indeed as we take a look at the point standings here. Andrew Ferriner is still in the top of the standings here with 183 points. Quite the gap to beat for Kyle Trudell, who sits in the second place. Trudell's not safe though. He's got Chris Rabel just behind him with 128 points. Sean Casto and Maria's, wow, that is one last name indeed. Lazinski, I think I'll say, tied for 4th and 5th place in the points. Daniel Eberhardt in the 6th position. Jeremy Miller and Nick Silver tied for 7th in the points at 113, with Trevor Trago also in the three-way tie with Matt Danson rounding out the top 10 in points here for this one. So it is certainly quite the race that these guys have got ahead of them, and the championship is still very early on, but already we're seeing a trend starting to emerge with that 88 car running away with a points lead.
Well, and after the victory at Bristol, now that he's locked into the playoffs, it's like, well, he can just set himself up for the latter half of the season and for that playoff run. Where some of these guys, like we see here, Sam Nieto, may be worried about trying to get into the playoffs, maybe worried about trying to really make a championship run. And there's a few guys, key names, I think, in this field that have yet to get a win this year that I think are going to be looking for Richmond to be that event that they prop up on.
Richmond is one of those tracks where quite literally just about anything can happen here, and qualifying is currently underway, about a minute and a half left. At the moment, we've got ourselves about 38 cars getting set to go race today, so we won't see anybody getting knocked out in qualifying this time around, as we've probably haven't seen previously in the series. But so it is extremely competitive in this field too. The top 30 separated by just half a second as we watch Danson throw his way around the track in the 0-5.
Yeah, there's so many little storylines and little improvements on the year. And the other thing, again, we haven't seen these guys in a month. Who knows what the improvements have been? Who knows what changes they've made, say, the setups or driving styles or anything like that. So seeing stuff this close right now is really, really exciting. And also, former winners right now, we have Brandon Bowie, Daniel Eberhardt, Andrew Freenange, the 3 most recent winners of the last 6 races here. The only one that's not here is Daniel C. Jones. And they're all in the top 8, so really good showing for those former winners, but maybe there can be a new one tonight. Oh,
and Stanford spins across the line for a 21.898. That, unfortunately, will not put him up too far in the running order. It looks like that'll still be good, though, for a solid midfield start. A couple of cars have still yet to set a time. Those drivers are Jeremy Miller and William Schmidt, but it looks like we've got a couple of guys that are still out there just kind of running their own little practice laps, and that's easy to see. Just about 10 seconds left though on qualifying, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the things stand as they are now, and that does look like that will be the case. Qualifying is complete here, Jonathan, so the starting grid for today's 200-lap feature is now settled. 1-minute warm-up still underway for these drivers. Let's take a look down at the starting grid. You've got Andrew Ferriner on the pole position with Sam Nieto in second. Michael Laria in third with Agnel Phillip in fourth. Daniel Eberhardt in the 5th position with Jaron Wainmaster in the 6th position. In 7th, you've got Liam Sheen with Brandon Bowie in 8th. Adam DiBlasio and David Washington rounded out the top 10. Rhett McBride sits in 11th with Chris Rebel in 12th. Nick Silver is in 13th. Kyle Camber 14th. Sean Casto 15th with Joe Yakes in 16th. Matt Danson 17th. Bradley Burke in 18th. With Dominic Howe in 19th. Ross Cato rounds out the top 20 here, Jonathan. Continuing on down, Nicholas Mara in the 21st position with Joseph Tice in 22nd, Shane Parrish in 23rd, Thomas George in 24th, 25th place for James Ross at 26th place, and apologies again if I butchered this name, but Mariusz Leszczynski is what I'm going to be saying that as. Correct me if I'm wrong. Eric Stanford in 27th, Stowe Price Jr. 28th, Sean Callis 29th, Steve Durham rounded out 30 cars here on the grid for this one. In 31st, you've got yourself Matthew Mara. Trevor Trago in 32nd, but not C Major 33rd. Mike Kuczynski in 34th. Tom Moreno in 35th. Grant Davis in 36th. Jeremy Miller in 37th. William Schmidt rounded out a 38-car grid. So a packed track for this 3/4 of a mile short track here, Jonathan, for 200 laps of action.
Yeah, going to be interesting to see what happens here. It's actually going to be the longest race this series has ever run at Richmond, just 15 laps longer than last year. First race as well, run in the day. I'm kind of excited to see what this brings to the table.
I think the same can be said for just about everybody here. A lot of drivers are obviously very eager to see just what is going to be in store for these guys tonight. 2 pace laps, just like we saw at the Bristol Dirt Track, so still got a little ways to go here before we get things underway.
Yeah, and just taking a look at the starting order, we have Freenage, the defending champion, starting on that front row with Sam Nieto. And Nieto and Lariah in the Winter Series were very, very strong here when they came to Richmond, and they did pull a bit of a strategy card that didn't work out. So I'm going to be watching those 2 and 44 cars specifically to see where they end up. Some of the other names, I mentioned the Winter Series that we kind of see down in the field. Winter Series champion Matt Danson all the way down in 17th. Although he said short track's not really his specialty, not really where he stands out. So we'll have to see where he finishes. Just right ahead of him, Sean Castro, who's been a great, 2020 campaign so far, very consistent. Same can be said for his teammate Brandon Bowie. They're starting decently in the field, so we're going to have to see how they perform. And probably a little bit of disappointment, at least for Jeremy Miller, not taking qualifying. He was winner at Daytona. He excels at these large tracks, but the short tracks here, I don't know, starting from 37th.
Well, the field round this track now for the final time today before they get things underway here at Richmond Raceway. It's bound to be an incredibly entertaining race, as it'll be in the hands here of that 88 car. Just a few moments. Just got to wait now for that pace car to lead them off. They're on the back straightaway for the last time today, and good grief, this is bound to be one exciting race. Short track racing is obviously some of the best racing that you can find out there when it comes to asphalt oval racing, especially in these types of cars, though. I can't wait to see what we're going to have for us here tonight. Andrew Ferraneris is going to take it down to the green flag. The green flag drops the 88 cars on the lap pedal. We are underway here for Richmond Raceway. Out of the gate for the 88 machine as they enter the back straightaway for the first time today. Still side by side for second. Fanning now 2, almost 3 wide, several rows deep behind them here. Still nice and tight here for that second position. Nieto and Phillip going at it, but it will be the 88 car leading lap number 1.
Yeah, the problem is they're creating a bottleneck, aren't they? Because they can't get clear of one another. One's fast on that middle line, one's preferring that bottom line. Remember, this is a fixed setup series, so everyone's running kind of the same setup, and it looks like it's strong either on the bottom or the high side. Depends on the driving style, and right now that 94 is being a big thorn in Sam Nieto's side.
Taking a ride on board here with Agnew Phillip here. Sam Nieto still on his side of the 2 car. Nieto getting that back end step down in the 2 machine, and that causes him to lose out ground, and he'll have to fall back here into that 3rd spot. So they're single filed out here all the way back to about the 10th position here. That's where David Washington is trying to fight the outside line here, trying to get a run here around Brandon Bowie down to the turn of one with the 98 car way up the track, all the way up into the top groove of the racetrack for 1 and 2. Now comes back and is able to get a massive drive off the corner. That outside line can be incredibly powerful on the exit of these corners here if you know how to run it. And right now, looks like Washington has found something that sticks.
Yeah, we saw a little bit in qualifying. Like, there was some guys that were up there for their qualifying lap time, so we're going to have to see how this works out. Washington isn't the only one. It looks like Danson's up there with him, as well as Kyle Kamer. McBride and Castro are also thinking about jumping up there. Maybe it's also because Brandon Bowie's a little bit of a cork in the bottle on this bottom lane. Either he's saving a lot of tires or he's just not comfortable with the current conditions at the moment.
Not being satisfied with the current conditions is a very strong possibility here, but Washington is really continuing to just throw his car all the way up to the high side there, so we're going to have to keep our eyes on that one and just kind of keep an eye on it, because if you get a little bit wide, you can find yourself very easily into the barriers, and that is obviously the one place where you never want to be. But take a look at Rhett McBride here, and Sean Casto looking very, very racy for the 12th and 13th positions over there on the racetrack, so bound to be an interesting one. The track has heated up a little bit. It's at the 112 degrees Fahrenheit at the moment, so it is a warm track surface down there, Jonathan.
Yeah, warm track surface means these tires are not going to last that long, and I think that's my biggest concern about David Washington. The more and more he flings that car in the corner, the more and more I almost feel bad for his right front. I'm going to give it like a nice little hug or something afterwards with how fast he's burning through it.
It's been a very clean start to the race so far, but you can take a look on the front. Look at that blue car right up at the top side. That's David Washington, who running that outside line has started to catch Adam de Blasio, and he's already right on the tail end of that 21 machine. Let's take a look on board from the front end of David Washington. Look at, he runs the outside line. He loses so much time on entry, but he gains so much, not just on the brakes, but also on exiting these corners as well. He's just able to carry so much more momentum, but of course, that outside lane, it might not stay as helpful as it is to him for long.
No, especially if there's a guy that's not comfortable running up there, and that's where Liam Sheen might have to go, because now here comes de Blasio down at the inside. This is going to have to be Washington's moment. Like, what can he do? He's not thinking about making it 3 wide. Don't make it 3 wide. Well, he doesn't have time to make it 3 wide, thankfully, but it's going to get tight. And this is going to be Washington's biggest problem, is how is he going to make up ground in the field with cars that are equal speed to him on this bottom lane. Like, he got past that 34 car who was fading pretty quickly, but these two are almost on equal speed.
Oh, and a bit of contact there between the 1 car of Sheen and the 21 of de Blasio as well. And they're out the corner. Oh, that puts Washington into the outside wall that time by. De Blasio got a bit unsettled. Sorry, Sheen got a little bit unsettled and just put the 98 car up into the outside wall down the front straightaway. All of a sudden, Washington has been scared down to the bottom of the racetrack, trying to get that car just settled. That's our first major kind of bit of contact there of the day, and Washington's car not handling so well anymore. He's fallen right back into the clutches now of Kyle Cameron, who's trying to find a way through in that 8 car.
And I'm wondering if just Sheen didn't think the 98 was... Oh, no, he gets turned.
Gets dumped by that 8 car, and that's going to bring out the first caution of the night. David Washington is looking so good on the outside lane, trying to back it up here. Watch out for the traffic, though, and that is going to put David Washington all the way at the tail end of the field. Bad news for the 98 car.
I wonder if he just did not get a run out of the corner, or if he just didn't think Cameron was there.
And Cameron was trying to have
that's
his
the case. He didn't
nose
think
in
Dave was there.
Yeah, you never know. Spotters on the occasion can be a little bit spotty. Pun not intended, but I understand what I just did there. So apologies for the terrible pun on my part, but that quote has been fulfilled for the day, thankfully. So you hopefully shouldn't see here another one like that from me tonight. But wow, that was our first caution of the day, and that was not pretty at all. Definitely not how we wanted to see that, especially so early on, only lap 14 out of 200.
Thankfully, no other cars involved. Again, with a big field like this and a short track like this, it's easy for big crashes to happen, but came down to the apron, almost backed up into his teammate. He thought about it, but thankfully didn't, and now we only have a handful of drivers on pit road, and it looks like Kyle Kamer's in. This might be for damage repairs if he's worried really, really about that right front. Or, oh no, he's serving his end-of-the-line penalty.
Oh, yes, that would, of course, be what he would have to do. So he's just going down to pit. That's actually a smart idea. Come down pit road and just sit there. You're not in anybody's way then, and you're already put yourself at the tail end anyway. So that's actually smart there from Kyle Cameron to come down and serve it that way.
Yeah, prevents an extra lap of caution, prevents, you know, having to brake and having to let everyone by in the front straightaway. Less shenanigans.
Cameron's now back out onto the racetrack right behind the tail end of the pacing line. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe saw 1 or 2 cars kind of ducking down, but I think more accurately, these guys are not going to be coming down at all, and that's to be expected. Of course, you're only 16 laps in. It's a 200-lap race. The tires won't be too terribly worn at this point in time, so there is still plenty of time to go here before we could really see that pit window opening up.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a long time. Now the question is, if someone wanted to experiment and see how good like maybe fresher tires were compared to like 15-lap old tires, that would be kind of interesting to see. I want to wait and we get to the end where someone might experiment, and maybe Sean Kalis is experimenting. No, he's got damage on that right side. That right side's been into a Virginian fistfight apparently.
That's Sean Kalis that's down to the lane there, and I have a feeling he was probably one of those drivers that got caught up in some door-to-door contact, maybe gotten boxed up into the wall himself. It's a very easy thing to do. We saw that happen with David Washington just about a lap and a half prior to that spin taking place. I think we'll be getting the 1 to go signal here from Barney the Flagman this time by potentially, but yeah, there you can see right side damage. That tells me that he was put into the wall somewhere, or maybe just overdrove the corner. Particularly turn 2 is a very easy corner to hit the wall on.
Oh yeah, no matter what car you race here, no matter if you're driving an IndyCar, Pro Mazda, or any NASCAR machine, really easy to have an incident over there.
Pace car is off. We're ready to go racing once again, and the 88 car once again launches out of the gate, and it's a big jump as we're ready. Look out, though, for Daniel Eberhardt, trying to make him push a 3 wide there for a brief moment down to the turn number 1, but thought better of it, and good thing, too, because that means we're going to be clean and green here off of turn number 2 for the first time here on this restart. Looks like Ferry Diaz is going to lead the opening lap. Couple cars getting a loose 3 wide across the line here for spots just inside the top 10 here. Liam Sheen's getting racy here in that number 1 car. He's going to get squeezed down to the inside lane by Daniel Eberhardt.
Yeah, Eberhardt was the big loser on that restart. He made that dive to the inside, and then the following lap afterwards was just not good, and now he's stuck behind Winemaster, sandwiched in between Castor. There's Matt Danson. This is just a crowd. There's no, like, I don't know what, this is not COVID safe whatsoever, this crowd right here.
Yeah, it's just complete chaos at the moment for these spots here just inside the top 10. You see a couple guys almost getting bump drafted. Jaron Winemaster has rear end damage now in the 48 car, so he was likely kind of beaten around a little bit on the restart. He's still side by side with the 21 car of Adam DeBlasio as well. Crossed the line for the 21st time today. 1/10 of the race is complete. And Angel Phillip way up the track in turn number 1. Might have overshot his braking point in the second position just up front there, but it is still a hornet's nest of cars down here as we watch the Thunder back down for turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, one thing I'm noticing is that bottom lane, you can't stay down there forever and put your throttle in. You're going to get loose and wash up the racetrack, so I think that's where this bottom lane's starting to lose out. We saw Sheen almost come up and right in front of Castor and Silver, so that's probably not making him many friends right now, but right now just single file out seems to be the best way to get around. I thought Danson almost got into the wall. I wonder if that was just some sideways.
The top 4 are starting to break away as a result of this side-by-side battle here for the 5th position. DeBlasio still fighting the inside line. Winemaster still running the top. So close, dooring each other up the corner. Look out, DeBlasio way to the inside. He tries to get that cutback on Winemaster, trying to repay the favor. Nose nice there, though, for the 21 car, who is now going to be on fire for Eberhardt, pulling the outside lane off of turn 4.
Yeah, this is why Richmond in real life has been the last race before the playoffs, and then a nice little summer night race, spring night race. It has the drama, it has the beating and banging a little bit. It's just 2 drivers fighting for the same real estate, and they ran out of real estate.
You can see Daniel Eberhardt really getting squirrely out there, trying to find some kind of a way past Jaron Winemaster. There was looking left and right down that front straightaway, the curve front straightaway. Now gets the run around the outside line. Great drive there from the 90 car. Is going to try to take this one around the outside here of the 48 machine. He's going to get it done there. So look at Daniel Eberhardt finding the outside lane beautifully there, and he will take away the 5th position for Jaron Winemaster, who's now going to lose another spot here down to DeBlasio.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he was trying to just let Eberhardt pass, knowing that it was kind of just going to be the inevitable, but I'm wondering also if the 48 might be carrying a little bit of damage. It's going to hamper it a little bit on the straightaways. So really down in these runs down in the corner, this dive bomby section right here. Silver doesn't think about it, but I guarantee you next lap he's going to think about it.
It looks like now things are starting to get themselves settled out here. So these guys are going to go single file for the time being. Silver tries to get right up to the back end of Winemaster. It nearly gives him the bumper on the exit of turn 4 that time by, but they do manage to survive it for now. Of course, that's a very fine word, is for now, which we'll have to wait and see just how this could play out for these guys, because this battle is far from over. This could very well be one of those issues that, one of those fights that really comes right down through all the way to that first pit stop window, assuming we can make a green flag run long enough to get to a green flag pit stop window. Oh, look out! Couple cars timers in the back. That's going to be a big mess. Caution number 2 is out. 3, 5, 7 cars involved, and that's going to be a solid 8 cars tagged up in this one. Caution number 2 is out, lap 29, and the big one, part 1 here at Richmond Raceway.
I apologize, Nolan, but I have never heard the commentator's curse just beautifully broken right there.
Wow.
Right there. You said, oh, maybe we can get a long green flag run in, and no, right there. An issue out of turn 2, and it looked like someone just didn't think they were clear. And Jeremy Miller, this is kind of a bummer for him. He needed just a solid day. I think there's Joe Yakes was involved. I think Yakes was the one that was the catalyst of it all.
It started with Merkid, the 03 actually, down there on the racing service, and it looks like the 03 car hit the 95 after coming off of the wall, so I think the 03 kind of grazed off the outside wall, but pit stops are underway here under this yellow flag. The overall race lead of the 88 is bringing them down. Angelo Phillip, though, in the 94 car, he inherits the race lead because of this. He does not come down, so first lead change of the day under caution.
And it looks like we got a little bit of a split agenda here. About 10 cars staying out. Looks like all the way back to Michael Kuczynski in the number 30 and Stowe Price as well. Grant Davis, I think, just went through pit road. So Freenage, Nieto, Loraya. It looks like Freenage is going to get out first ahead of some of these other guys. I'm wondering, actually, no, I was the 82 car, Mutasi Major. I'm going to double check his time spent on pit road. It was just going through. Yeah, but here's the replay. You are right. It was the 03.
Right there.
Oh, and then, yeah, Joe Yakes was the catalyst. There's just nowhere to go.
Wow, that is massive there. And it was just a roadblock out there. I mean, you got a lot of smoke here with these guys spinning around like that, and then you're just flying into there full speed with almost no time to react. I mean, what can you do about it?
I mean, there's a few that got lucky. I think Stowe Price was one of the very, very fortunate ones. He stayed out on this pit stop. He almost got collected by Yakes. And the other problem was, you see how like Yakes' car got violently sent back into the middle of the track. We'll get an on-board here. Here's Stowe Price. You see Kuczynski get sideways up ahead, and everyone kind of scrambles.
And some more Stowe Price Jr. there. And did he get through that clean? I think he got through that clean just about. If he did, that is absolutely legendary what we saw there from Price Jr. Way to back it down there and kind of get things sorted there so he didn't get piled up in this one.
Yeah, there's another one. Mutasi Major, I think, also got through that pretty okay, although he's been down and off pit road several times for damage, so I might be lying on that one. There was a couple guys that got through that. It was just easier to say who wasn't in that than who was, because I think, Mara got in there. Shane Parrish, I think, is taking that car to the garage. Yakes is still in pit road. Bradley Burke, unfortunately, still in pit road.
We're right on board with Major, Munatsi Major, the 30. Oh, wow. Oh, no! The 21 slid right across his nose, and he would have made it clean if de Blasio hadn't slid right across. The reason why de Blasio slid up like that was because he tagged off the inside wall.
Miller, not de Blasio, but like, yeah, that was also a violent slide from Miller because he hit the inside wall and vaulted back in front of the track. But now this is going to be the big learning ride. Here's Matthew Marr. I know he has the big sim, so this is going to be a fun ride for him, whether we get to see his sim rig or not. But oof. Wow. And then immediate toes from a lot of those guys. Just a heavy, heavy impact.
Shane Parrish is officially out of the race. I think Jeremy Miller will be parking this one as well after that big mess. So from 38 to 36, lights are out of the pace car. We're getting set to go back racing here in the hands now of Agnell Phillip in that 94 car. He's got Nick Silver on his outside line. The 94 car with the big launch this time round, mimicking the 88 car starts. We're back on the way at Richmond.
Now, this is going to be good for our notebook later. Keep in mind how fast some of these guys in the midfield, 10th on back, where Freenage is, and that 44 and 2, how fast they can get up the field on these fresh tires. The front 10 do not have fresh tires.
The 88 car is already steaming up the inside line there. He's on the inside of the 30 right now and continuing to hound these guys in the top 10 positions. That 88 car has just bumped himself up 3 spots in the first lap, and he's continuing to rocket through the order here. He just passed up Dominic Howe. He's just gotten past Chris Rabel as well, and now going to be threatening Rhett McBride as well. So Ferry wants that race lead back, and he wants it back in a big way here. Riders on board with the 88 machine now as you watch the third and fourth going to make contact. 3 wide here into turn number 1. Oh, crashing behind them front straightaway this time. They didn't even make it more than a couple laps this time. No caution yet. Now the caution comes out. Joseph Tice was one of the big drivers that got sent around. Another driver awaited the infield was the 22 car of Stove Price Jr., a driver that had just managed to avoid every single piece of contact in the last crash. One of the main causes of this one.
I'm a little upset because I did want to see, Freenage just barrel it down the inside, but here we go. The 22 on the way outside hits the wall, almost identical to what happened in that first accident, except there was no 20,000 cars to collect. Whoa. There was Nick Mara stealing through the grass. I'm wondering if there's a little bit more to the story.
I think Matthew Mara went down there to avoid the wreck out of turn 4, and he got out of that one completely clean as well, apart from a bit of a excursion to the grass and some grass on the grill. But now the question is, do we see anybody in the top field that did not come down for tires the first time come on down? We do not.
Yeah, so this is the aerial. I think we're going to get a better picture of what happened behind Stove Price, because there's the contact with Liam Sheen. Someone spun, and I think it's the 5 of Tice and William Schmidt are the 2 that got into each other on the high side, and that's what set that off.
Yeah, there seemed to be like 2 different incidents there. I think one was more of a reactionary thing. Now, on the subject here of course, those guys coming down for the tires, it is worth noting as well here that these guys are going to have 1 less set of tires to work with. These guys have a maximum of 5 sets, so that's 4 plus the ones that they start on. It does appear as though Nicholas Mara in the 32 car is getting his lucky free pass, and there was Matthew Mara's view, loose off of 4 and slid through the grass, and somehow managed to keep it out.
If we ever put a WRC track here, I believe Matthew Mara is trying to find the layout of it. There was 3 separate incidents, though, out of that one corner. You were right, because that second incident was almost completely separate. That's just kind of the rough thing about being on old tires at the front, that you bunch up the field like that, and you get this huge jumbled up order.
Well, you were talking about the WRC tracks. I think we're talking about also the GRC or the GRX tracks at this point in time. For the IRX tracks, I think is more accurate here for some more rallycross tracks. Well, you think about Lucas Oil Raceway, they got themselves a fictional rallycross track that uses a lot of their front straightaway and the pit road as well. I can see one at Richmond. Utilize some of the infield there. Let's look back here. I believe this might be the second incident. Oh, wow, the 14 just was unsided by the 5 checking up. That's what happened there, and then that blue car that rammed into the 5 was just an innocent bystander. I had no idea what was going on.
That would be James Ross. That's very uncharacteristic of Ross not to check up. I mean, Tice was spooked, and for a good reason, because he just saw a giant pileup out of turn 4 with someone spitting down the front straightaway. So, Tice getting spooked, getting out of it, but he's the one that pays the price, because he's still on pit road. He's been on there for a good minute and a half now.
Phillip is still the race leader. In that 94 machine, we're coming up here to lap 42, so about a 1/5 of the way now through this 200-lap event, coming up on a quarter here. And Phillip, it looks like, will be taking the outside lane for the restart. That's not honestly, that's not a terrible idea here, Jonathan, given on how strong we've seen that outside line.
No, and I think Agnell kind of is playing a little bit of a game here. He knows that 3 car is going to be a little bit slow in the older tires, so look who he's kind of trapping in a box. He's trapping Freenage on the 88 behind Silver and then next to Matt Danson, who are on the older tires. So this is a really tactical move by Philip to try and delay the 88, especially the 44 of Lariah as well right behind.
So Philip in the 94 car, your control car for the restart. Pace car is down a pit road. Philip on the loud pedal. Look out for Silver. All sorts of out of shape as he jumps on the throttle. Green flag back in the air already. Freenage looking to the inside of Silver. He's going to pick up the second position easily. Philip covers off the inside lane as we're back underway. Out from turn number 2. Double file for about the entirety of the running order. And a very clean start there on this one. Hopefully they'll make it off of turn number 4 this time by, unlike the last restart that we saw.
That was about the worst case scenario, I think, for Agnell Philip. He needed Silver to get a good restart, and Silver spinning the tires. Not ideal, although Freenage running insanely high, almost open door for Lariah, but now he's going to get a huge run.
Oh! Davis around in the 24 machine. Turn 2. Caution is back out. Cautions bring cautions. A very common trend at many short tracks here on the service, and Richmond Raceway, no different. Take a look at the replay here as Silver, gets, but it's the 14 car again. The 14 just caused one of the incidents in the last wreck by running over the 5 car, and he just did the same thing to the 24.
I need to see that again. I'm honestly very confused. Was there something that predated that?
I wouldn't think so.
Like, again, no offense to Ross, but like that did not look.
He just gave him the bumper.
Did not look terribly accidental, if I'm honest.
I will say this: it just turns 3 and 4 the last lap by. Ross had been trying to get around Grant Davis, and looks like it just got a bit too aggressive for his own good. Wow. So James Ross not having the day he might have liked, it would seem, and that sends this Grant Davis for a spin. Good job on Davis, though, to lock that one down. A good job with the cars behind him to avoid him. Ross is down to pit road, as is the 32 machine of Nicholas Mara. And that will divide some things up in the field. It looks like we got one car still getting there. Lucky Dog free pass. Trevor Trago is going to take his lap back around the iRacing pace car. Only 3 down on pit road so far.
Yeah, and those are all for repairs, and I think Ross is staying around maybe for his EOL penalty. Like the tough thing is I couldn't tell by the throttle or the brake. Were they both trying to get out of it and just kind of clobbered into each other or something like that? Like that's one of those. I don't know, Nolan, if you're a fan of Formula One, like the Bottas and Russell incident. There's just not very many good angles that we can see that was going to definitively tell us what happened there.
Yes. It's a tough call. It really is. But in my opinion, I mean, you're the car behind. It's your job to execute a pass cleanly, of course. Passing to Richmond is one of those tracks where you can do it, but it's not often going to be very pretty. And unfortunately, that was more ugly than most. Like you said, very uncharacteristic for James Ross. That's 2 pretty major errors there made, you know, for running the high banks of tracks like Kansas, Dover, etc., Daytona, Talladega. They're not really made anymore for short tracking, as much as I hate to say it, which is a bit of a shame because that's, of course, where NASCAR started in the grassroots racing. A majority of the tracks were half mile or even less, some down to just a quarter of a mile of short tracks. Heck, I remember back in the 50s when NASCAR was racing at Bowman Gray Stadium. That track, that's not even a quarter of a mile long. It's like it just goes around a college football field, and if we imagine if we were racing around there on the service, whew, that would be something else.
Yeah, but I think there's definitely a call, especially with the new gen car, to try and get back to the short track and routes. And you know, you mentioned the trouble on the short tracks. It seems, at least here in this RealSimRacing series, to be like a hit or miss kind of day with cautions and incidents. You know, last April we had about 8 cautions. Well, the September beforehand we only had 2. You know, and then the race before only 11. The race beforehand that 4. So it's like it's very hit or miss, and you find that a lot with like a lot of the races. Bristol, the only one that stands out that's normally a caution-heavy race in this series tends to be Martinsville. But that's had to be it. But even on the service, it's usually Martinsville anyway.
And then, of course, you get another certain series that I'm aware of, and we had 18 in our race. So hopefully we don't end up being a case like that. Pace cars back down to pit road. Agno Phillip leads them back to the green. Much better start for Freenage this time around the inside line, but Silver trying to fight the outer line here around the 88 car, but Freenage here might be one to give Agno Phillip a run for his money here. One car coming out of pit road is Ross Cato just in front of these guys. 3 wide behind, one car already spinning. Didn't even make it half a lap this time round. Jared Waymaster sideways on the back straightaway, and caution flag will fly just at the quarter mark. Didn't even make a half a lap this time.
I saw that out of the corner of my eye. It was, I think, the 9 car of George running wide, getting into the wall, and then hitting Liam Sheen. And that is exactly what happened.
Oh, dear. Cautions breed cautions.
On the plus side, I guess, for our little yellow fever here, we do restart. If we don't make it a full lap, the restarts will be single file. So that should help, you know, thin that pack out a little bit, prevent some of those big, long trains that we're seeing of 2 and 3 wide. So that should help. The only issue with that being is now the field becomes spread out. So now, like, Winemaster and Nick Marr and Trevor Trigo, who are on the tail end of the lead lap, are going to end up, like, restarting midway through the back straightaway.
I feel kind of bad for Winemaster on that deal. I mean, that's another case of it was just an innocent bystander getting to the short end of the stick. It all started when Thomas George got a bit close to the wall, and Liam Sheen just drove up into him, slid down, and nowhere for Winemaster to go. There goes the Lucky Dog free pass car around the outside line. That's Ross Cato this time, getting his lap back. And Ross Cato running the discount modified, it would seem. No front nose on that car. He's got the hood, but no front clip. So, oh, there's a discount modified. There's a good look at a Cup car, specifically a NASCAR Ford Mustang radiator, if you ever wanted to see one.
Well, it's a good thing all the Fords run the same thing, all the Chevys run the same thing generally, and all the Toyotas run the same thing in general as well, because that'd be a good way to find some secrets.
Which is a bit interesting then, how, you know, you have all the cars that are supposedly spec apart from the body templates, but then of course you get you get all the cars that sound slightly different to the naked ear, an untrained ear. They don't sound too dissimilar, but if you're around them a lot, like we are, there is a slight bit of difference in them. For example, I find the Toyota to actually be a little bit more growly than the other cars.
Yeah, it sounds a bit deeper. I also find that there is a balance difference in the way each car drives, and I think we've seen it so far, at least on the service, that it seems like the Toyotas, at least in this series, have just not been as strong on, like, the bigger tracks. Short tracks, I think they can get some equal ground, but on some of these longer tracks, like, the Toyotas just can't seem to get that speed down, and I'm wondering if it's just an aero issue with that front nose, or if it's just the Toyota engine just doesn't have that same beefy horsepower.
And then, of course, you have the Mustangs, which are really good for plate racing, particularly because they got a very flat end, which makes them perfect for bump drafting, unlike more pointed nose like the Chevrolet Camaro ZL1s, like the one that Agno Phillip is running up there on point at the moment, which those Mustangs could be big. They could play in big time with their aerodynamic packages and how good they are bump drafting when we get around to Talladega racing on the 26th of April. So you never know. I mean, it kind of can be a hit or miss, and each track can have something unique. And Nick Silver, oh yes, that's right, we're going single file restarts for this one, aren't we? Because there was a caution on the same lap that they went green. So single file restarts for this one. We'll have to see what this will mean, though, for the field.
I can see a little bit of confusion. I think drivers kind of forgot, like, oh, yes, we have to go single file. So this is going to look like an IndyCar restart almost. Everyone going to be on the outside wall, preventing any shenanigans.
Phillip in the 94. Waiting for the pace car to get behind the pit barrels. He gets on the loud pedal, but not before. Freenage almost rear-ended him, trying to anticipate the start. Green flag back in the air, side by side. For 6th and 7th, down for turn number 1. Matt Danson and Chris Rabel going at it as you can watch the field thunder up turn number 2 and past this speed camera. That is a beautiful shot there. showing you just how fast these cars are really flying around this facility. They don't look to be going fast through some of the TV cameras. Trust me, they are going very quickly. That is another fantastic angle showing you just how fast they fly past the start-finish line. Side by side now for third and fourth with Nick Silver on the top side and Michael Laria trying to fight the inside row.
Laria's got that fresher rubber, and Silver's trying to hang on for dear life. And unfortunately, I think for Silver, it's not working out. And here's a little bit of a comeback drive for... Oh, yellow flag. We still have that yellow fever.
Daniel Eberhardt this time around, the unlucky driver, I should say, of the yellow flag lottery. Car number 90 spun off of turn number 2, which seems to be Calamity Corner so far.
And he was up in that top 10 group. He was in like the 10th position, I believe. He was pretty far up there.
Well, as they were starting to see a trend starting to emerge here, and it does seem to appear that this will be how things go. And we'll take a look here. Oh, wow, everybody checked up, and Eberhardt just couldn't check up with them in time. It looks like just clipped off the left rear there of de Blasio in the 21. Looks like you had Rhett McBride who got loose. That checked up San Nieto, who checked up de Blasio. De Blasio also got loose and went down into Eberhardt.
Yeah, there was just nowhere for Eberhardt really to. It was almost like an identical thing that we saw with Winemaster. It's like you're an innocent bystander. What can you do? Someone just gets in the wall and, well, it's day set and done. Hopefully not a lot of contact on that 90 because he was fast.
I was about to say, I mean, there wasn't too much damage there on the 90 car. It wasn't too hard of a hit, so he still has a shot. Take right on board here with Eberhardt. Winemaster, meanwhile, does take the Lucky Dog free pass. Well, let's ride on board here with the 90 car. You'll see everybody's just going to check up all at once. The 21 car is going to come down into him off of turn number 2. Right there. Ooh, lifted the back end up pretty good, actually.
Yeah, maybe he should have just... Yeah, he was carrying a lot of speed through the corner, so there's not much he can do. But I was going to say maybe take a little bit of a lower exit line. That would have prevented that, and he would have got a huge run into Blazer in the 4, but, like... I understand why he's so close to him. It's like you're trying to maximize as much speed as you can carrying through these corners, and you have to, get up close and personal, unfortunately, with these cars. And if someone makes a mistake like that, it can lead to your own demise.
Matt Danson took a rather interesting line one lap ago through the start-finish line. Decided to do a bit of landscaping work, it would seem, in the 05. Not sure what the plan was, unless he really wanted to get the tire school to put the or dirty, but... Well, I guess a line's a line. You are under caution. It's not really costing him anything, but a bit of an interesting thing to see. You're the one that pointed that out, actually, Jonathan.
Well, I just saw a car through the grass.
Oh, here we go. It's going for victory lane there, then just, whoops, and there he goes.
Did you think we're at Iowa?
Oh, and he ran over the manhole cover, too. Luckily, we don't have splitter physics just yet. Or I tell you what, the front end of that car, well, it wouldn't exactly be in one piece, and we'd have part of it stuck in the infield. I can almost guarantee that.
It depends on how wet that grass is. It might be okay.
Wet grass or not, that manhole cover would rip that thing apart.
Well, it's ripped any car apart. Manhole covers are the secret enemies of race cars. I'm surprised we haven't had an issue with that one.
I mean, most notably for me is Baku, of course, at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Formula 1. You saw a couple of cars like George Russell, sorry, not George Russell, I think it was Nicholas Latifi, getting caught out by that in 2018, I think it was. Check, that was Robert Kubica that was getting caught out by that. And then, of course, you had Roman Grosjean's crash in Malaysia in Sepang, where he had a big puncture because of a manhole cover in 2016, and that sent him, 2017, excuse me, that sent him flying off into the tire barriers at turn 2 on that race. Lights are on the pace car, though. No manhole covers to worry about on this track, thank goodness. Agnell Phillip will be the one to take them back to the green flag once again.
I am still curious on why that 94 car is not brought it down pit road. Same with the 3. I think track position might be key, but at some point these tires are going to have to get off these race cars.
But the caution's coming so frequently, they're barely using any wear on the tires anymore as it is. Free flight back in the air. Phillip leads them back down and away. Freenage is going to be trying to fight back here for the second position, almost 3 wide for spots just inside the top 10 behind them. Field Thunders off of turn 2 for the 63rd time today. Will we make it more than 2 laps clean? Let's hope so.
We're making more than 2 laps without Andrew Freenach getting back to the lead. Nope, here he goes.
Freenach down the inside of Agno Phillip. The 88 machine trying to retake the race lead. Pinches the 94 car up to the outside wall. Down for turn number 3. The 88 car continuing to hold strong on the inside lane. Phillip trying to fight the outside, but it might be all for naught here unless he can really make something magical here in 1 and 2. Freenach isn't clear yet. He's still got the 94 in there at the corner, who tries to shove it in there down into turn number 1, but it looks like Freenach will finally get clear for the race lead off of 2.
And watch out for Michael Laraya. He's now right behind here. He's on the same tire strategy as Freenach, so Phillip is going to be under increasingly heavier fire. But Phillip doing a great job on these older tires, like trying to hold up and trying to stay up with these leaders. He's not far off the pace. He was less than a half a tenth slower than Freenach last time by.
So now we're side by side here for 7th and 6th, it appears. There are a lot of cars that are side by side at the moment. That's Danson up on the top side, Nando down low. Behind you got DeBlasio, and then of course Thomas George and Chris Rabel all running in one group here under a blanket. They're side by side for 2nd place as well, but this is all where it's at here is this Hornets nest of cars here. Off of turn number 2 for the 67th time today. It looks like finally we might find ourselves with a slightly more of a cleaner run here in this one. Hopefully we'll get a longer run than we've had at the start, because right now the longest sprint flag run we've had was off at the initial start of just 14 laps.
And it'll be nice to see who's really good in that middle part of the stint, who's good towards the end. But look at Phillip. He is on 30-lap older tires, albeit with some caution time, but he's hanging on like a champion on that outside line. He's not giving Laraya an inch, and it's ultimately helping, unfortunately, Andrew Freenach get away.
Well, Freenach might not be invincible, though. He's got some lap traffic of Ross Cato and Bradley Burke just up the road that he's going to have to keep an eye out for here in just a few moments' time. 2nd and 3rd are going to single file out, and that puts the next side-by-side battle up for 4th and 5th, which is really holding up the entire field here. You can see those 2 cars side-by-side, and then everybody's just scrapping for positions just behind them as well. So Silver trying to fight the outside line. Casto trying to keep it around the inside, but it looks like the 3 car will be able to maybe be more of a superior driver on the top side, and that is going to be the case. So now Sandiego is going to try to go up the inside here of Casto into 3.
Yeah, and this is going to be frustrating for Nieto, because in practice he was one of the fastest cars. He was 2nd fastest, only to Andrew Freenach. He almost qualified on the pole position as well for good measure. So this 2 car, I mentioned him at the start. I mentioned Michael Laraya. These 2 are going to be factors. Unfortunately, right now he's just been stuck behind the 52 and the 3.
And it looks like just now Casto is going to get back in line as Nieto will be able to come out victorious in the battle for the 5th position. One more battle settled, but DeBlasio is not finished in the 21 car. He's trying to find his way to the inside of Sean Casto here. Maybe see if that 21 car can put himself up a little bit more pace, but doesn't look like he'll be able to either. Things are starting to settle more and more into a rhythm, but DeBlasio really deep on the inside there on the brakes, trying to get a run here on Sean Casto, but still no dice on the 21.
No, it's difficult to pass, especially with how that outside line has been working, particularly in the day. This outside line has been much, much stronger, I think, than the inside line in this series traditionally has run at night. We've ran 18 races in this series here at Richmond, and this is the first one ever in the daylight.
Well, it might not stay that way for long. It is currently about 4:16 in the afternoon, so if we continue to get a big streak of cautions like we saw earlier in the race, we could be seeing that sun dipping towards the horizon here before this race is over yet. The time is accelerated by 2 here in this one, so that means the time is going by doubly quick. So Danson's still trying to defend Thomas George just behind here as we're watching this battle start to unfold. Now, this is for 9th and 8th on the track. George did get the pass done this last time by, but he's just not been able to get clear.
No, it's been a good drive for George so far, even though he had that little miss-up out of the corner and almost rubbed an Australian the wrong way if he wasn't careful there. And now here comes Eric Stanford diving down to the inside.
Big lunge there on Matt Danson will try to promote Stanford up into the 9th position here on the racetrack. We ride on board with Stanford as we watch this battle unfold between himself and Danson. You got to be careful with the guys behind you, too, because there's another battle right behind these drivers between David Washington and Dominic Howe as well. Now we take a switch over, take a look on board with Matt Danson, who is going to have to yield. It seems to be like that inside line is getting rubbered in quite a bit more now, and that seems to be the fastest way around this track now.
I was thinking loss of tire wear is not helping these guys that really favor that outside line, because they're losing a little bit of that grip that they would have out of the corner to get these big runs. And now look at Howe on the inside. I believe Howe's also been down on pit road recently. Yeah, he actually has. He's only got 25 laps on this stint, and he's flying, actually. He's one of the fastest guys on the track.
And the last stop by, he did take a set of fresh tires, so that will do it. And this is one of the longest green flag runs we've had now so far, all race long.
Where did he restart from? I just realized, like, if he was down on pit road 25 laps ago, and no one else was besides, it looks like, maybe 2 damaged race cars, like the McBride and Winemaster, he restarted, what, 30th?
And definitely doing good work to kind of put himself up there at the front. There is some lap traffic in the biggest of all this, too. You see that white car there on the high side? That's Ross Cato, and he is not on the lead lap. He's actually fighting in the 30th position at the moment, so he's just trying to keep out of these guys' way. You see him go way to the inside now and break early for turn 1 to let these guys back through. Eberhard is continuing to do battle here with David Washington. Eberhard, loose for the 90 car, way to the inside line he goes, and Brett McBride nearly followed him down. David Washington continuing to try to pull the outside line, but I'm afraid the 98 car might have had it here with the top side unless he can really find something here quick. Gives Eberhard nearly gives the bumper there into turn number 1. The bumper run is a very popular maneuver at short tracks, and but when we get to the end of this race, wouldn't surprise if we saw a couple of drivers starting to utilize it.
Yeah, I mentioned Howe on 29 laps on this stint. Apparently, like, Eberhard was the last one down after that caution. He is on fresher tires, and it looks like that damage isn't too bad as well. So that 90 has been clawing his way through the field pretty quickly. That's his teammate to the inside. It looks like that's going to be easy said and done. Stanford being a nice team player there. But now Eberhard back inside the top 10 with guys that are on tires that they started the race on in front of him.
And we have now officially crossed over onto the longest green flag run that we have seen all race long so far. So things have started to settle out into their own little rhythm, which is definitely, of course, what we like to see. But you can just see, despite this, how close a lot of these battles still are. They might go 3 wide here out of the corner if they get the chance. That 9 car of Thomas George really trying to find the middle there. Castler nearly glances off the wall. They are 3 wide now with Daniel Eberhard trying to go 2 for 2 here on the bottom side around the 86 car, and he's going to get this one done, but might not be too clear as he might think here. Still having to go defensive into 3.
Yeah, but look at Nick Silver all the way up on the high side. They're going to be 3 wide, I think, coming out of the corner again if Silver gets a little sideways, which he does.
Nearly wipes out all 3 drivers and what would have potentially been more, but Eberhard is still trying to fight the inside. He is not giving in at all. Silver's outside line is not working at all. The only reason why it worked there was because Castler had to lift off for Eberhard, and Eberhard turned out to lift off to avoid bouncing off the apron. But Eberhard knows how to run that inside line. Silver knows how to run that outside line. This could be one heck of a fight here.
And again, this is key for everyone else in this top 5, because Eberhard, again, on a little bit of fresher tires after that spin. Same with Dominic Howe. I really don't think you want these guys ahead of him. Nick Silver right now is doing basically de Blasio, Nieto, Philip, Lorais, and Freenodge's work. As all of a sudden the 90 goes way high, I think trying to find some sort of speed to get around that 3 car.
Back down low. Around the 3. Silver trying to fight the outside, gets the runoff, but Eberhard got a much better drive down the bottom of the track. And he'll take it away in turn number 3. Sean Castillo and Dominic Howe still side by side, do battling just behind.
And the good news is that held them up about 2 seconds for the past few laps. So instead of being right on Adam de Blasio's tail, there's a 2-second gap that Eberhard has to make up, which is not impossible, but he's also consumed a decent amount of tire. And my concern is, when are some of these guys that didn't pit gonna have to come down? Because Philip is in 3rd, still has yet to pit. Same with Nick Silver, same with Castro that you see on screen. There's a few others as well. Danson and Rabel on the edge of the top 15 have yet to pit. So what is their game plan for the rest of the race, especially if we're staying green like it is?
We'll have to wait and see, because with all the cautions, that is really jumbled at the pit strategies here. So I don't think we'll be seeing green flag pit stops for quite a little while yet for some of the guys out there on the lead. I would expect we can maybe start looking towards that a bit more when we get just past halfway. That's going to be my guess, is when we're getting about 90 to go, that's when we're going to be starting to see some guys coming down to pit, if not a little bit sooner than that. This battle, though, is still raging on here for the 7th position, and Nick Silver is not wanting to give up these spots here. Dominic Howe, he is really giving him a run for his money. Meanwhile, Eberhard is really driven away from these guys, but honestly, these guys side by side, it's really holding up this entire train.
Yeah, I think Nick Silver is this big cork in a very, very small bottle, because look at the field behind him. All the way back to Danson is where this holdup starts, and there was almost, they almost just boarded Nick Silver in the wall like it was a hockey move.
Close call there. Of course, that's not something you want to see. These cars really do not respond well to hip checks, so to speak, especially if you put them into the outside wall. Actually, more so if you put them into the outside wall, I should say, because it's actually one more easier chance to move, but it definitely really hurts the machines. Howe trying the inside again. Silver's doing a fantastic job running that outside line. He is doing a great job in driving defensive here. So this could be crucial here, but I think Silver's finally had it here. Now Howe is having to do battle with Rhett McBride on the outside line.
And McBride was like a sneaky assassin kind of there. He was picking off everyone one by one, and then eventually got a 2-for-1 special down into one that we just saw with Silver as well as Howe. So now he promotes himself to 7th place, so a good run for the 15, and now it's this scrap at the edge of the top 10 that's going to get interesting. Like, how long can the 3-car go and hang on? And again, I mentioned he's only the 2nd highest person that hasn't hit. Like, let's give just a massive shout out to that 94 machine, because pace-wise, he's not much slower than Freenage or Lariah. He's on pace with both of them, and his tires are still, what, 30 laps older.
Just saw Thomas George complete an overtake on Sean Casto. Now Casto's trying to go side by side with Kyle Cameron, who's trying to follow through. So at this point in time, these guys are breaking away from the field behind them as well. So at the moment, this battle here is kind of going on between the 9th position on the track back to about 15th or so as where you guys got. So you got these 6 cars here that are just still running in their own little train here. Right now, the only group that is side by side among them is Cameron and Casto. And Casto's trying to fight the outside of that while Cameron's trying to work his way up through the field on the inside.
Yeah, the biggest concern now, if this stays green with all this fighting in this midfield, is how far back do they fall away from the leader? Because right now, Freenage is closing in on Sean Kalis and Michael Kaczynski at the very, very tail end of the lead lap. How much longer would it be until, say, Freenage is lapping through some of these guys in the midfield, closing in on this midfield fight here? Ooh, Cameron the wall.
Just a little graze of the wall. It's enough, though, that it could be of some concern here to him. Oh, got a couple cars there. Really kind of getting loose. Look at Matthew Marr. Oh, Matthew Marr just been put into the pit barrels there at the entrance to pit road. This is a very treacherous place here for the 23 car to be sitting. Backs it up under the track. Caution flag is out. Wow. For Matthew Marr, not at all the way he wanted his night to go, as he was down 2 laps and he just had quite the embarrassing situation there through turn number 4.
I think he was gonna be due. He was one of those guys that was not had yet to pit. I think had a little bit of damage, so was trying to gamble on staying on the lead lap by not pitting yet. And I think just got the entrance all wrong. I'm wondering if he just got caught out by the guys ahead of him, because who was in that area? McBride and Dominic Howe. So I'm wondering if he just got spooked by someone going underneath him, or just was an emergency bailout, like, oh, I'm low on fuel, I need to come down.
We'll take a look here. This is Matthew Marr, the 23 card. Kind of washes out there, and then looks like he tries to turn down for pit road, just really locks it up and just goes right into the pit barrels. Now the caution comes out right about here, and he starts to back it up onto the track, and I think right there, that's where the yellow flag came out, because he backed it onto the track, and that immediately made him a hazard.
Well, who was that flew right by? Was it the 34? We'll get to that in a moment, but with everyone on pit road, this is going to equalize basically the whole race. All this tire talk, all the wear and stuff out the window now. Everyone's going to be on the same boat.
Freedage will looks like to be in the lead here. Wins that race off of pit road. So the 88 car back out in front as we approach the halfway point in this 200-lap event.
But I want to go back to that replay of Mara coming back out on the track. I want to say that might have been Brandon Bowie in the 34, but I could be wrong of who was coming up on that very outside and almost just clobbered the rear of him. Because that would have been.
It's one of those mistakes, though, that it can really cost you, and it cost him a lot of time. He was already 2 laps down, though, caught up in earlier incidents. I'm just confused as to what sparked all of that. He was slow as it was, and when he came down the road, he didn't take any service, keep in mind. Here's Brandon Bowie. Oh, it was! Wow! Close call there for the 34. He'll need a change of trousers after that one.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Mara was trying to come down pit road, thought he wasn't going to make it, and then thought, okay, I've already committed, I can't go back out on track, and then just went to the barrier. Because we see like a jerk right, left, and right. Like he was very unsure. And unfortunately, he didn't take any service, I think, because that would have been a penalty, taking service and exiting a closed pit. So we wanted to try and minimize the amount of pain that he's already gone through today.
That was one of the longest green flag runs we had all race long. That went on for about 48 laps, I want to say. So not a bad run for these guys, considering just how much attrition was in the opening stages, the opening 60 laps or so of the race.
Well, now, like I mentioned, like this kind of shakes up the field in a weird way, in that everyone is now back on equal tires. So we're now going to see just the pure pace of some people. Some players are brought back in. I think Nieto, after being held up by Silver for so long, is finally freed. So we'll now have a fair shot back at Lariah and Freenage. Phillip now doesn't have to worry about a little bit older tires compared to Freenage. Eberhardt's back in the equation, so it brings a few new players in, and like some of the guys that benefited from pitting right before on that last caution, like Dominic Howe, also now in the top 10. So we're going to have to wait and see how this one plays out.
Just a matter of time. We'll have to wait and see here. The base car is off. We are back to racing here for at Richmond Raceway for lap 105. Freenage down into turn number 1. Great launch from him, but not as big as what we've been getting previously. And the question is, will we get another trend of cautions, precautions? So far, we are clean on the restart here. Liara is doing a great job of the 44 machine, trying to stay with them, but cold tires kind of bites him out. Couple cars getting loose off of turn number 4. Oh no, there goes one car spinning around. Looks that might be the 19 machine spinning in the background. No caution yet. Now the caution flies for Eric Stanford sideways on the front straightaway.
That was just a huge chain reaction, because I think what happened there is you see Daniel Eberhardt got loose, his teammate, all the way up in 5th place. And then that just chain reacted all the way down to Stanford, who was down at 13. You see Kamer was getting loose. Just a bunch of people on that high line that just were drifting through the corner. And then the 19, I don't know if he came down into Chris Rabel, if Rabel got loose as well. We'll have to see.
Taking another look at this one.
Yeah, this is back in the back straight, heading into 3. So yeah, Kamer, Washington, George, they're about 3 wide.
Oh, right up in front.
Yeah, it's a stack up with Kyle Kamer.
Yeah, when Kamer got loose off the corner, that just checked everybody behind, and unfortunately for Stanford, just nowhere to go in the 19. Again, it's one of those situations where you just have so little time to react, and at a short track like this especially, everything happens so quickly. There's so much more little space to go. It's not like you have like lanes of room, especially below the track, like you might have at a track like Kansas or Chicagoland. It's a very, very narrow surface you are working with here. And this is, keep in mind, despite being narrow, this is one of the wider short tracks as well.
Wait, I think what didn't help was, like, I think the, you mentioned the time, you mentioned the changing track conditions. You know, it's gotten a little cloudy, so maybe that higher line just isn't as grippy as people expected. Because, again, Kamer wasn't the only one getting loose. Eberhardt, right ahead of him, was also sideways out of the corner. I think same with Dominic Howe, so it wasn't just him. And then also, like, everyone else behind him had to be loose because they were still, like, were right behind Kyle Kamer, right near the wall.
Well, let's put this under caution once again. So cautions breed cautions, and I think that time the main guy you could blame there would be cold tires. These guys had all just come down. Pretty much everybody had come down the last time by, and I think that was the main cause there. A couple guys just little loose there, a little sideways on the cold rubber, and it only takes one little step out, and it's all it takes to start one of these massive checks that results in somebody getting spun around. Unfortunately, this time, Stanford was the driver that just got caught out by it.
And I'm wondering if there's going to be a lot of damage on that car. We already saw the 90 get into the wall and be able to just get a little bit of repairs and go off pretty well. It looks like Stanford was only in there for 15 seconds, so not too much damage on that car. Didn't change tires or anything, just getting repairs, so hopefully that 19 is going to rebound. But now we get another restart, and Lariah hung in tough with the 88 last time, and he's going to have to just get a really, really good jump, I think, on the start in order to really contend with Freenage on these restarts.
The 88 machine of Freenage continues to lead. Lariah still doing a fantastic job with the 44 car to hang on to second, but you never know, because really anything can happen in races like these. We really just have to wait and see how things can play out, because it's such a perilous situation for a lot of these guys right there, right now on the track. So now the question is, who survives it? Because I think at this point, with crunch time starting to come on up for these guys, the attrition rate could go through the roof here as well. Lights are out in the pace car. We're going green this time by.
The attrition rate, how risky did some drivers be? We already saw Eberhard looking to make it 3 wide, going down into turn 3. I'm thinking he might do it again. It also depends on how aggressive Phillip wants to be. He's already got a win. I think Agnell Phillip, part-time driver this year, full-time this season, trying to make himself a top-tier contender. And then Lariah and Nieto, again, no wins for either of them in the Winners Series, and no wins yet this year for either of those two teammates.
Pace car is down. Freenage leads them off. Liara is going to continue to try to fend them off. Or Lariah, excuse me. So side by side, double file through turns 1 and 2. The sun is starting to send the track. Big check up there as D'Blicio almost at the he did hit the outside wall, and that checks up the field in a big way. But they do manage to survive it this time round. Off turn 4, still green.
Now Phillip going down back on the inside of Lariah. That's going to hurt that 44's chances in that 2 car. Also, just did not get a good restart. Dominic Howe, probably just one of the biggest movers of this race, and I think one of the contenders for like driver of the day status right now, all the way now into 5th, looking to make it more.
.87 laps to go. Adam D'Blicio still trying to fight with Sam Nieto, but I think Nieto will be in a prime position here to maybe run away. The battle's on for 3rd and 4th up there as well, and 2nd, as a matter of fact. Agnell Phillip is trying to get by Michael Lariah here, but at this moment, Phillip is also under fire from Daniel Eberhard, who we've seen is very, very good off of these restarts here. So that 90 car is a serious threat for the podium positions here, and he's trying to make that outside line work again.
I think with fresher rubber, it's going to be possible because the 9 is going to get a huge run, especially off turn 4 right here on this curved front straightaway. It's almost a huge benefit to have this outside line because now look how far ahead he is of Phillip. Another solid run off the corner, and now move that 90 car to the top of the podium. He's going to have to go chase down that 44 machine and then chase down Andrew Freenage.
Already, a lot of the field is actually single-filed out here, so a lot of these guys apparently not wanting to really battle very hard just yet. The big side-by-side battles here are taking place between 13th and 14th, 15th and 16th, 17th and 18th on the track. Just about everybody else is single-filed out throughout the entirety of the grid so far. But it's those 3 rows right now that are double-fileable, and it's down to 2 rows now, as 2 of them are single-filed out as well. Kyle Camber, one of the causes of our latest caution, is running with Manasseh Major at the moment in the battle for 14th place. Major's trying to fight the outside line. Camber got off. Oh, contact there into turn number 1. Sends Major up the track. Checks him up into Chris Rebel.
And now that almost set that midfield scrambling because there was almost nowhere. There's nowhere for everyone to go in the middle of the corner like that. You're committed to your line. But thankfully, everyone gets away with that pretty clean.
So far, Munatsu Major is going to get himself back in line. That leaves the balance now between Rebel and Danson. Danson's going to throw one up the inside of the 82 car of Munatsu Major, prevents him from getting down to the apron of 3 and 4. But so far, things are looking very, very solid right now for this battle for the 14th position. Apart from that initial contact, pretty clean, all things considered. Which is worth noting that when these guys aren't, spinning out, they can race remarkably well with each other here on the short tracks. And that's, again, it shows just how well these guys are at battle with one another, giving us the great show that I've seen here tonight.
I think the biggest problem is, like, a lot of our incidents and stuff have just been driver errors, just going too hard at the exit of a corner, or just getting into the wall a little bit, like driver errors, and they cause collisions, which that's not what we want to see, obviously, but you can't just say like it's really, really aggressive racing or really over-aggressive anything. It's a lot of it is just simple errors, and fortunately, once we get on this nice run, everyone gets in a rhythm. Those errors are far and few between.
Rebel tried to have a look at the inside of Danson, was not successful. We're looking back here now, up now at the inside of Chris Rebel, who's still trying to find the inside of Danson, but he's just not able to get close enough that he can make a realistic dive into the corners. He's going to have to make really big lunges. Ooh, bit of a twitch at the wheel there for Rebel, showing how precarious these guys are. They're driving their cars right on the edge here when they're on the corner entry, especially, though, for turn 1. Almost no car likes it when you're turning while braking, and no truer is that than with the Cup cars. Well, that's exactly what you got to do for turn number 1. Jaron Wymaster is down pit road.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he's gotten on the wall again or some sort of connection issue or hardware issue, because he's down on pit road. He's only a couple laps in. This is the 6th time he's been down pit road.
To the right side of the screen, there is Wymaster coming into his box, and we're watching the battle continuing out there on the track. 3 wide now through turns 1 and 2. On the exit of the corners, still clean for now, but might not be for long. Cameras on the outside, dancing in. So, oh, big time of the Major. Major then slides up into Rebel. Somehow, they don't all rack.
I'm almost confused at how that was not a caution.
Somehow they managed to keep it out of each other. Well, they didn't keep it out of each other, obviously, but somehow they didn't spin it all around, which is absolutely shocking. Liam Sheen way at the track now in 3 and 4. That puts him 3 wide with Cameron and Davis for a little while. Down the front straightaway, 2 wide out now, and you saw at the top of the screen there that Mariah and Eberhard had swapped positions a couple times. They were side by side. They're simplified out again now, but that's another one of those battles that we just got to keep an eye on. Ross Cato's once again in the midst of lead lap traffic. He's trying to keep things out of the way, but take a look at this battle. Once going 3 wide off of turn number 4.
Yeah, this is where this transition period comes over, and this higher line now becomes the really, really risky line, because you're using a lot more tire getting into the corner. They touch. Thankfully, Kamer hangs onto it.
These cars are made for contact, and they bang doors again that time through turn number 3. William Sheen not wanting to take prisoners here. Kyle Kammer doing a fantastic job holding the inside line. Now Sheen way deep on the outside line. Here comes Matt Danson trying to find the middle groove, opening up a 3rd line on the track. Gonna get squeezed in here, though, and Danson's forced to go back down low. He might not be too happy about that one.
Yeah, even though it's a green and white car and a silver car, I think that 05 might be seeing a little bit of the red mist, and the 1 almost takes Danson to the grass. I don't think he realized he was not clear when he made that move, and now here comes Danson. He's going to have the move on the inside.
Oh, this is getting dicey here. This can only win one way if they keep battling it out like this. Matt Danson trying to find the inside. Sheen gives Cameron the bumper that time into turn number 3. They're racing again like it's the last lap of the race here. Matt Danson will finally get on the inside here of Liam Sheen, though, and might be able to bully his way past. Liam Sheen, for all his trying, was not able to hang on. Oh, trouble, turn 1, cars going around, 2, 3 involved. Multiple drivers involved in this one off of turn number 2. Looks like a double car spin in the middle of the corner there. I saw Brandon Bowie. Looks like he may have been involved. Steve Durham was involved. There's one other driver in there as well. It looked like to be Eric Stanford.
Yeah, I saw this in the back of our shot. So I saw, okay, Durham getting really, really sideways. Okay, he gets back onto the line and then...
Oh, wow.
I don't think Stanford had any idea he was there.
Well, obviously not. He came like down from the wall and basically just doored him. The 3-car of Nick Silver just barely avoided that mess as well and nearly actually got wiped out by it. He somehow scraped through there by the skin of his teeth.
There was a set of teammates there, too. That was both SK Racing machines. The only one that didn't get involved in that was Eberhardt, and he's leading, and he's the only one not down on pit road.
I can tell you right now that Durham is wanting to call it the racing deal. I wouldn't put it that way myself. I mean, obviously it's a racing deal. You can't say it was intentional, but I think obliviousness had a slight hand to play in that one. Because they were fully side by side, door to door. It's not like it was quarter panel to quarter panel.
I kind of want to agree with your call because, we need to get another view of it because the 10 car went deep into the corner. And I don't know what else to tell him. That's your teammate.
I will give Stanford that. Durham did slide up from the apron by some margin. But on the other hand, Durham slid up by maybe about a lane or so. Stanford came down from the wall, basically to the bottom lane, and just doored him in the side. So it's not really a case of 2 cars going for the same piece of real estate. One driver moved a heck of a lot more than the other one. There you see Durham once again sideways off the corner, and then this might show here. Watch that 19 car just... Oh my gosh, I mean... There's Silver, the outside, just barely getting through there. The 34 car, not so lucky.
And that's keeping it real. Okay, so there's two sets of teammates there, and only one of them got off lucky. But again, Durham and Stanford are teammates, along with current leader Daniel Eberhardt. So I'm sure the SK Sim Racing room is probably not enthusiastic.
It's probably awful quiet right about now, which is always the worst sight to see when your teammates under caution.
I mean, for Danny Eberhardt, I mean, that might be, a good thing. He can focus a little bit if they're all sharing like a Discord room or something like that, or a team room. But if you're if you're a team manager, if you're the kind of the leader of your team group, that's an awkward meeting later. Because at least Stanford has retired, so that car is not in the session anymore, and the 10 car will continue on.
So Eberhardt to the lead for the first time tonight. That Item Machine has been really strong on these restarts, so he could find himself with a pretty sizable gap here if he plays this right. Looks like he will also be taken to the outside lane. Seems to be very popular among leaders at this track.
Yeah, but I think the main problem is, they had this gamble earlier where about, half stayed out and half went in. Well, that's not half and half anymore. This top 4 group that you see on screen did not pit. That is Eberhardt, Nieto, Kaczynski, and Davis. Andrew Freenodge, you see back there in the 5th position, first one on fresh rubber. Everyone down from Freenodge has 4 fresh tires. So I'm almost a little worried that this might be a gamble. It's 30-lap difference, so we saw Phillip hang on for a while up here. But how long can the 90, and especially the 2 of Sam Nieto, hang on?
Well, admittedly, Phillip hang on because of that, because there was just caution after caution. They couldn't go more than 5 laps. So that was a big help as well, because he was able to just gap him from the jump. And then he just never had the time to get in before the next yellow came out. We'll have to see if that's going to be the same case here for Daniel Eberhardt, who's going to be leading them back to the green. The 2 card on the bottom, starting on this. Oh, big wheel spin there from Sam Nieto. Checks on the entire inside lines. They're going to be going 3 wide here, down to the turn number 1. 4 wide almost. That's going to be a big wreck. 1 car hard to the outside wall, stacking up the whole field. The 44 car slides. Caution flags out, and does everybody manage to miss it? They do, but only just.
Okay, that was just a case of the wheel spins. And, well, there were some ambitious drivers, I think, from about 7th on back that were ready to make a dive. And unfortunately, Michael Lariah is the main victim.
Lariah got tagged by a couple of drivers, but apart from that, he was pretty much clean. But look at the massive check up there. It was the 21 car that sent them 4 wide up the middle there. You'll watch this here The car that spun is Lariah outside in the 44. There you see the 44 just spins down in front of the field. And somehow, just about everybody manages to get by him, apart from the 2 or 3 that hit him initially.
I don't know if the 24 came up a little bit, because I know Davis was trying to leave room for Freenage, because he saw that one coming. I don't think he expected... Yeah, here we go again. He's leaving room for Freenage on the bottom right here. I don't think he expected de Blasio just to dive in like that, and I
know I wouldn't.
I need an onboard almost of de Blasio just to kind of see, like, did that 24 drift up a little, or did he come down into him?
I mean, realistically, 4 wide, it doesn't work at a short track, no matter what way you look at it. Doesn't matter how big the gap is, it just isn't going to work. So now we get this ride on board here with de Blasio through across our finish line. Oh, you can practically see that they're going to go 3 wide of the corner. He just sends it up there anyway.
Yeah, it's hard to fault Grant Davis on that one. He was leaving room for Freenage on the inside and then trying to leave room on the outside for the 44, and 21 saw a gap and went for it.
That was almost the big one, part 2. Only ended up being about 2 or 3 cars that got damage out of that one, so very, very lucky on the field there to get around that 44 car who was stopped in the middle of the track. Coming to 60 laps to go this next time by, around lap 140 of 200 here in this one. But the caution count has been higher than I think most would probably like. We're starting to fall into the whole trend here of cautions breed cautions. This will put us on a single file restart, as to be expected. They did not even make it to the back straightaway before this caution came out here. I believe they just got the 2 to green signal this time by.
Yeah, single file restart. And I don't know if that's worse or... It's a better or worse, because better, I think, for the 4 that stayed out. So the top 5 you see on screen, minus the 88 car, are all on old tires. So that's better for them, at least. But worse for definitely those guys on fresh tires. Minus the 88, I think Freenage, if he can quickly pick off Michael Kaczynski, I think he'll be okay. I think my big concern is Kaczynski and Davis, who have kind of been hovering around that 18th, 19th, that mid-pack battle area, you know, holding up guys like McBride, Castro, Danson, Sheen, that have been trying to fight for the end of the top 5.
So coming to the close here of what I believe is caution number 9, if I've kind of counted this out right. Single file restarts. Looks like some of the drivers might have been caught out a little bit by that. You can see on the bottom side there was Sam Vieto, who was getting set up for double file. Well, he's had to slot back in line here, though. Single file restarts have the tendency to be interesting, so I'll have to see what this one will bring for us, Jonathan.
The whole fate of this restart lies in the hands of the 30 and the 24 car. I think if Eberhardt and Nieto get a good jump, and maybe that 30 does as well, I think we'll be smooth sailing. But if Kaczynski does not get a good jump, we're going to see an accordion effect.
Green flag flies. Looking to go side by side for third. Freenage down the inside of Kaczynski. Clean pass so far from the 88 car, and already double file out for several rows further deep in the field. But so far clean off of this restart. If they make it back to the start-finish line, restarts will go back to double file.
That was a brilliant restart, I think, from Kaczynski. He timed it out really, really well. He didn't really lose a lot of time holding up the 88 and didn't lose time battling him. But now I think this is going to be the painful part for him. Here goes Phillip on by, and here comes a lot of these guys on fresh tires. Davis is already outside the top 10. And now Nieto's already been disposed of.
Oh, look out! Cameron just spun round 1 and 2, still trying to save it. He's not going to save it. Caution flags out again. Stopped on the bottom of 3 and 4. Self-spin for the 8 car. Sees him bring out caution number 10 with 56 laps to go. Actually, he was side by side with the lead machine, so maybe there was a bit of contact there.
With the way this race has been going between those two, I would not be surprised. Ooh,
oh, yeah.
Baby.
Little bit of a touch, and there you see, oh, he just barely clipped somebody as he was coming down, too.
Grant Davis, he fell back out of the top 10, did not get the best restart in the world, but that car control was on full display right there. Almost hit the 8 machine, but yeah, I think we need to see like a side view, because I don't know if the 1 came up or if the 8 came down, but I know those two have not been very nice to each other all race.
No, they have not. A couple cars are going to be coming down pit road here this time by. Those machines are. Looks like Eberhardt is into the lane. I see, I'm trying to cycle back. I got Kaczynski also down to pit road. Grant Davis is also down to the 24.
Yes, here we go. In.
That is marginal. Camera did kind of go up the track by some ways before he fully lost it.
The 24 is going to have the best onboard of that incident if anyone wants to go back and look at that. But all right, this is the interesting thing here is that the only one who hasn't pitted for an extended period of time is now Sam Nieto in second. Eberhardt has already shown his ability to drive back through the field. Kamer's obviously down for reasons that should the replay explain to us. Thomas George back down, who's been having an up and down day. Yeah, this is the onboard I want to see.
Yeah, there was a little bit. It was very marginal, but there was a bit.
But did you see just that car control? He let Rabel by and then somehow got it loaded up enough to not get collected by the 8 car coming back on the track.
Oh yeah, it was some great control for sure.
But now I think the biggest loser, the 2 car, because he's now the only one on any old tires out on the track at the moment.
So yet another caution. I believe this is number 10. So we've entered the double digits here. The record is 17 set in the race, as you've pointed out here, Jonathan. 2017 here back in May 2015.
Yeah, and again, I mentioned like Richmond can be very hit or miss. It's either a very low caution race since the new generation of cars came out, or it's a very high caution race. And you know, we've seen 4, 3, 5 caution races, but we've also seen 12, 11, and 10s. Again, we haven't seen these big like 13 and 17 races since the end of the Car Tomorrow days back in 2015 and 2014.
It does tend to kind of go that way, doesn't it? And Richmond has one of the tendencies to be a race that can go both ways. It can either be completely wreck-filled, or it can be pretty much right into the end. And usually it's the former, not the latter.
It just depends on like obviously the condition, the time of day, and then just kind of how everyone in the field is driving. We've seen some very opportunistic and aggressive driving, but we've seen it done very well under green, and then we've just seen some of it not work well under caution. Again, most of these cautions were not caused by over-aggressive driving. A lot of them were caused just by simple mistakes coming out of the corners. Just coming out, hitting that wall, and there's just nowhere to go. So at the moment, well, we still have 51 to go for that feeling to change.
About to come to the green here once again. Freenash on the outside line. Nieto down low. About to initiate the final quarter of this race. 50 laps to go, and 75% race distance will be complete as we take this green flag. 25 cars still on the lead lap. Pace car is off. Big launch from Freenash. Big tire spin again from Nieto. Checks up the inside lane. We're back to racing, but maybe not for long here. There was another big battle wheel spin for the 2 car. That sends everybody scrambling 3 wide for spots just on the edge of the top 10. A couple guys getting bent out of shape there on the exit of the corner. Looks like we're just barely going to keep it green, though, for the time being.
Philip wants to send it up the inside, but look at how sideways he is, and now he's going to dive down on Nieto. Does he? A little bit of contact.
That kind of buzzed Nieto up, and Nieto's trying to make room as well for Castro on the outside line. 3 wide and pinching each other in. Down for turn number 3. I think finally Agdal Phillip is going to be able to get the nose in there, and he's going to be able to keep this one steady. Nothing that Nieto can do. Nieto is on old tires, important to note as well. So he is going to fall way down the order. His tires are a good 30 laps older than just about everybody else is on the grid right now. So this has not been the best of starts here for San Diego, who's just going to drop like a rock here as the old tires come back to bite him.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious on why he stayed out. Like, he has 2 more sets available, so I guess at the end of the race, if he wants to take an extra set just for the heck of it, that might be okay, but I don't know. Like, I felt like he should have come down there, because I think it's going to come back to bite him more now than it would have been later trying to work his way back up through the field, because the guys working the way back up to the field are just about to pass him, because here comes Eberhardt right behind him.
Chris Rabel had a very close call on lap 154 through turn 1 all the way to the back straightaway. Got a bit sideways, drifted up, made a bit of contact with William Schmid, and then was about sideways trying to hang on to it all the way to the back straightaway and lost about 4 or 5 spots in the process, but he did manage to keep it out of the wall and other drivers, so we are still green. He's still hanging on for spots here, trying to fight around for 14th place, which he has just managed to secure this last lap by. And trying to really clears himself there across James Ross's nose, and Ross now gets sideways off the corners. He's trying to get those tires back up to temp. Oh, lock up there from Grant Davis into the corner that time for the 24.
On sideways behind.
Yep, that was Sean Calist and the 43 that got sideways. He lost about 4 or 5 spots. Everybody's out of control at the moment, it would seem, on the track.
Yeah, everyone, I think it's a bit antsy. They're realizing the end of the race is coming. It's quickly, laps are ticking down. They're trying to make up a lot of spots, and it's 3 wide for Sheen, Castro, and someone sideways. It's Howe.
Caution flag is out. Everybody will miss Dominic Howe somehow, but wow. Well, that's a tongue twister right there. Dominic Howe lost it all by himself. Just too much power in the exit. And then too much power for a second time as he gave it a bootful to try to secure it. Right there, and then he blocks it up and slams that outside wall.
Yeah, Sean Castro's going to be happy about that, because he got away with one there, because I think if that 86 came back up like a half second earlier, he would have tagged that 52 down to the inside, but now we get set for another restart. And Freenage has some different people behind him now. He has the 21 of de Blasio, who's already seemed to be going to be aggressive on the restart. He has Rhett McBride, who quietly has been putting together a brilliant race. He's been up and down the field all day long. And then Phillip has been very, very consistent all race long in the top 5. Then Liam Sheen, who is had a little bit of bumping and exchanging of pleasantries with Kyle Kamer. Now finally the 2-car comes down, and he should have done this the last caution, I felt like, because now damage is done. He's now put behind some of these guys like Eberhard, who he was running with.
So San Diego does bring it down to the lane. 40 laps to go this next time by here on the line. There you can see him just all the way up at the front. He did qualify 2nd place today, so it's just been some bad pit calls that have really hurt him in this race so far. And he is losing just handfuls of spots here, just all the way down the running order. It really does not feel good. I think he had some damage fixed there too. That was a very long stop. 27 seconds.
Well, hold on. Let's sit down and look at this for a second here. So we have about 40 to go. When we come back to the line, we're going to have about 37 to go. That's how long he was out there on that first restart. That was the difference between his tires and everyone else's initially. I'm wondering if Sam Nieto's play here is that he's not coming back down pit road.
It is a good possibility. I believe this will put him on his final set of tires for the day here. Of course, there's only really one way to see it. I mean, his tires are now solid between 15 and 30 laps older or newer than the other guys on the track, depending on who you're looking at.
Yeah, but now he almost has the same difference of wear as some of these guys at the front, like Freenage and de Blasio. So I think his 2-car may have made the right play. And another guy that we haven't mentioned for a little bit, Nick Silver, who's been kind of in the thick of things. You know, he's also just came down pit road, and he was one that was on the old tires earlier that held off brilliantly. So I'm wondering if the 3 and the 2, if that was their last stop. Regardless of how this race goes.
Exactly. There's only one way to find out, and that's to just keep an eye on the rest of this race to kind of show you how this will play out. Let's do a quick little recap here of the top 10 in the field so far. You've got Andrew Freenash, who has been kind of up and down in the field so far, but he's managed to retain the lead for the most part. Out of Deblicio, who has been the cause of, or been involved in several instances over the course of the night, is in second. Then you of course, have Rhett McBride in third. Agnew Phillip, who led several laps earlier, is in fourth. Liam Sheen is in fifth, and Matt Dance in sixth. Eberhard seventh. William Schmidt in eighth. David Washington ninth. Bonazzi Major is in 10th place. So far, the driver that has gained the most spots has been William Schmidt, up 27 spots before he started the race earlier today. So legendary run there from Schmidt. Puts himself up into the top 10 this time by. Or I believe we're at the end of caution number 11 here. And now, we are coming back to the green flag here. It'll be in the hands here of Andrew Freenash, who was kind of... Actually, it's actually Deblicio that's holding the inside line back by quite a bit there. Not sure what the plan is for him. Now Freenash gets on the lap end. We are back underway. No wheel spin this time in the front running of the field. We're back to racing.
And de Blasio on that last one was able to keep at least a decent pace with that 88 car. I'm wondering if it's going to be the same story here or if Agnell Phillips to try and find a way past.
Scrapping behind, several cars going at it, almost 3 wide as we exit turn 4 onto the front straightaway. The very curved front straightaway that is the race where you get here at Richmond Raceway. Still side by side here for spots just inside the top 5. We are currently watching the battle between the 05 of Matt Danson and Rhett McBride in the 4th position. You got Eberhard right in the mix of this as well.
Eberhard, who is trying to build a roller coaster, I guess, in Richmond, Virginia, because that's exactly what his day has looked like. And now he's trying to find his way back into the top 5. He might make it 3 wide.
Gonna try to push it 3 wide. That is going to send McBride up the hill. Eberhard will be able to get a big run off the inside line here. McBride trying to fend off around the outside, and looks like he might not be too successful as Eberhard is just really, really good on the bottom side. He has been really working that bottom line all day long, Eberhard has, and he has continued to do a phenomenal job of holding it down there. You can see the sun has started to set as well, which is definitely changing some of the track conditions up as well. The track is now down to 87 degrees Fahrenheit, so it is significantly colder from the 112 degrees it was up to earlier on, just 10 laps into this race.
And that could have been the reason that it caught so many people out in that mid part of the run where we saw everyone in the exit of turn 4 kicking the back end out. Is the changing conditions going to be key, I think, as this race goes on to see who can adapt more. But the moment now, Eberhard clear of McBride, and again, McBride, I have to sing his praises. He's doing a fantastic race so far for him. But what can that 90 machine do to the 94 and the 21 as we see this thick of things Hornet's nest back here?
I believe now we're watching the battle between Washington and Silver here down in the turn 1. In fact, that is the battle between Silver and Washington. David Washington earlier on was really working the outside line, but the outside line has really just fallen away as the track has cooled off over the course of the day, and it is not working for him at all anymore. The battle is on fierce behind these guys as well. Thomas George is trying to hold off Chris Rabel, who's all over the place on the front straightaway. Just lost out 2 spots as he kicked the back end out off of turn number 4. So a lot of guys here are still getting incredibly loose as we now look back to Rabel, who lost again 3 spots just 1 lap ago. And you can see everybody here is all sorts of out of shape here off of every single corner. It's only a matter of time before one of these guys brings out caution number 12. And there it is! 2 cars sideways, front straightaway, down to the infield grass. No yellow yet. James Ross was involved. So was Chris Rabel. No caution, though. Cars were not sideways on the track. We stay green.
Somehow you were, but the commentator's curse said yes and then no simultaneously.
Well, yes, but actually no. Take a look back at the replay here. This will show your Ross just sideways, and again, nothing the 29 car can do. Just locks it down. Great save from both drivers. Unfortunately, no caution for them. Sees them way down in the back with a lot of ground.
That was good news for Nieto, who just got around them. Nieto's on fresh tires, and We were briefly watching that 3 machine. Nick Silver's on a charge. Like, I have no other words to describe how fast that 3 machine is going. He restarted 22nd, is now up all the way, knocking on the door of the top 5. And he's going to be a factor at the end of this race. Same as Eberhard. Eberhard's on the door of de Blasio. And here comes Sheen on the door of Washington. These are 2 guys that shouldn't get together.
Trying to go for the pass around the outside line here. Now diving it off the corner there. Look at the run he's got here on the 98 car. What Liam Machine is doing, he is entering very, very high, and then he is exiting down low, trying to get a big run off the corner. Terrible run that time, though, through turn 4. Oh, Washington kicks the back end out, though. Liam Machine will have the chance here to go around the outside line.
And Washington doesn't have the grip or the confidence to fling it up to that high side and shut that door, but now he's got plenty of space to close that door. And then here comes Nieto looking to the inside of the top 10. This is going to dispatch with Trigo and Davis. Trigo, who we haven't mentioned him much, but he's recovered from like 2 laps down after that first lap crash, or that first caution of the day about an hour ago. So amazing comeback from 37 to be in this position.
So everybody is about everywhere. I think that's a good term to put it. Now David Washington does go to cover the run around the outside line. Sheen is now under fire from Sam Nieto, who's trying to pick up the 11th position now as Washington got it back. Sorry, Nieto's trying to go for the final position inside the top 10. He's going to get it done there. Sheen just doesn't have... Oh, maybe he does as Nieto real loose off of 2.
Yeah, I think Nieto compared to Silver, Nieto's going to be a bit more cautious about this. He doesn't want any damage. He doesn't want to waste too much of his tires. I think that's why his charge through the field has been a bit slower than the same car on the same strategy of Nick Silver. Now clear of Washington. He's now inside the top 10. And now it's a lot easier from here on out because there's guys that are single file ahead of him, not fighting really, really hard for position.
And Trevor Trago is now up the inside of Liam Machine on the front straightaway. He'll try to take away that position for 11th. Down in the turn number 1. Sheen way up to the wall, a bit further up than you might have liked, and he is basically going to... Oh, look out! Sheen with a big tank slapper off of turn 2. Puts himself into the wall. That one car is not going to be feeling terribly happy after seeing that take place, but Sheen so far is holding strong in the run here through turn number 1. Still way up the track, and now he's 3 wide with Grant Davis and Dominic Howe cutting off Grant Davis on the inside.
Yeah, again, Howe's also one of those guys on the fresher rubber, so he's going to be charging through the field. Davis is hanging on, and I think that one car, I think that's a definitely decent amount of damage that's going to compromise him later on. The good news is he has a bit of a gap to some of those guys further behind. The bad news is, well, the damage.
It's never good news to see. The damage can hurt you, especially even at a track like this where the car isn't as aerodynamically dependent. It really can hurt you. Got to think the suspension damage in particular could be crucial. Oh, one car sideways, turn 4. He's going way to the infield there, and that is Michael Kaczynski taking a wild ride through the grass there, kicking the front end up. And once again, thank goodness you don't have splitter physics, or the front end of that car would be in several pieces all over the front of the infield.
Well, I guess the WRX track here would work already. Don't need to do much modification, apparently. Cars are already getting airborne.
And I believe that was the Victory Lane section of Richmond Raceway that he ended up turning down. Look at that slide to the corner that just gets all 4 wheels off the ground there for the 30 car. Not a common sight to see at Richmond Raceway.
Yeah, but now we have... Alright, some of the fights are kind of thinning themselves out. People are spreading out. We have a definitive fight for the lead. Freenage is about only a second ahead of Eberhard, and then this is the fight for 8th. This is Danson and Nieto. Nieto, in case of maybe getting up to the top 5. He's only got 15 laps and 5 seconds to Freenage. I don't think he's going to have enough time to catch Freenage. There's that slow-mo.
That is a beautiful shot right there. Showing you just how high that car lifted off the ground. Wasn't for long, but 3,400 pounds, once again, very, very heavy cars, and they can get kicked up in the air just like that. That was great.
I was waiting for a Dukes of Hazzard like style yeehaw to come on.
Well, like you said, the gap is starting to close a little bit. It's just under a tenth now between the two race leaders. We'll keep an eye on this fight, though. This continues to develop as Nieto and McBride are side by side here off of turn 4. The lights are pretty close coming on here. It's about 6 p.m. in sim time now with just 13 laps remaining. Don't think we'll get those lights on before the end of the day, but we'll have to wait and see. This is a great fight here between these two drivers, though. They're now down the back straight, drag racing it out. This is the fight here for the 7th position, excuse me, on the racetrack. Nieto's holding the inside. McBride is doing a great job trying to fit the outside. Oh, gets cut off by Nieto there down the front stretch.
Yeah, that might have been a bit of a frustration move on Nieto's part, because he definitely feels like that pitting was the right call, and it definitely seems like it, because Silver's gotten all the way up into 3rd. It's just, he just didn't have the same luck as Silver climbing through the field. I think he can come and get Castro, Sean Castro up ahead. But now Nick Silver's sitting in 3rd. If Eberhardt somehow closes down on Freenage, Silver's in the catboard seat because he's just going to watch those two fight it out. And that's the two heavyweights right there.
It's still a big question mark, though, as to whether Freenage will be able to really reel it in. Oh, one car just grazed the outside wall there. We watched that fly through turn 4. I think that might have been Sean Colist in the 26th position that grazed the outside wall. In fact, it was. Just a minor scrape. No harm, no foul. Just kind of check him up a bit and likely scared the guys behind him, too. 10 laps to go, coming to 9.
Yeah, lap times for Eberhardt and Freenage almost dead even. It's been hovering around a second for quite some time, the gap, and Freenage really has not been, in terms of fighting for the lead, has not been too contested, as we now see Trigo on the right-hand side coming down pit lane. I'm curious what this is for.
He got real loose, and I think had a major... Oh, I see! He blew the motor in turn 3! That's what happened to the 37 car. He was running 10th. He actually blew his motor up in turn number 3, and immediately brought it down to the lane. That's what happened there. So, disaster for Trigo, who is set for a top 10 finish. He's not even going to be finishing the race with less than 10 to go. That is heartbreaking.
Yeah, especially for a car that was involved in that first caution that clawed his way back to the front. And now this is the Hornet's Nest. This is the part I think that Freenage and Eberhardt both are going to be worried about, is if these guys right here can survive until the white flag and make this race official. Eberhardt, I think, had a bit of a moment just now because he's lost about 5 tenths, excuse me, to Andrew Freenage this last lap. So it looks like Freenage safe for the time being, but it's going to be this fight right here that could catalyst for something here.
The head of the train is Grant Davis. Michael Lariah is just behind, trying to threaten for the 12th position. Liam Sheen and Minazzi Major side by side, almost. Whoa! Sheen is. Hang on to it, buddy. Sheen way for the outside, back to the inside, back to the outside again. And Minazzi Major lifted off a bit to let him have it, but now look at this. Oh, caution flag is out! Game changer here in Richmond. And not sure what caused this one. It was Tom Moreno in the 42 car that got spun after getting dunked by Michael Kaczynski. Take a look at this replay. Right there, just left rear hooked him.
For Kaczynski's sake, I would like a better angle. Because it's not looking good on that angle.
He just got left rear hooked. I think it might have been a checkup, but this is a huge game changer here.
All right, what do you do? All right, Crew Chief Nolan, what do you do?
Well, the call seems to be... Oh, maybe not! Couple guys bailing their way out of pit road, and here we go. This will definitely show it here. That's pretty clear to me. That was just clumsy.
That was Freenage that almost got collected on the way back up.
The first driver in was San Nieto. Everybody else, except for Freenage, attempted to come down to pit road and then bailed out, particularly Daniel Eberhardt, who was probably about 2 feet away from slamming the pit barrels.
Yeah, they're trying to play games, and unfortunately for Eberhardt, judging by the amount of times he's been down pit road, I think for sure he's out of tires. So I don't think it would have mattered for him. I think for...
does put us here into green-white checker territory, so we will go into overtime here at Richmond Raceway. It's not over yet, and this has really bunched everybody out. That gap that Eberhard was definitely trying to close, well, he is right there now with Andrew Friedosh. So Friedosh's second-and-a-half gap is not secure anymore. This was the last possible thing that Friedosh wanted. Now, they will get 3 attempts at this. If they can make it back to the white flag, it'll be official. If the caution comes out, though, we'll do it again.
And the problem is with that rule as well, if the caution comes out within that one lap, the next green flag checkered restart will be single file. So there's only one green flag checkered restart. We will have a single file restart.
Important noting as well that if we use all 3 green checkers, we still get a caution on the last green checkered. That race ends under yellow. That 3rd attempt, that's all you get. Oh boy. Well, who's your money on here, Jonathan?
Neither of the top 2. It's on the 3 car, because the 3 car is the freshest tires. The 3 car was closing them down, and I think this might just be what Nick Silver ordered.
Not to mention, like you said, if these 2 guys take each other out, Silver's in prime position to just steal it. He has not led a single lap all race long so far, Nick Silver, but in reality, you only need to win and lead 1 lap, and that's the last one.
Well, and you can't say the 3 car hasn't driven a brilliant race. Like, he's been the one out there on the old tires quite frequently in this race, and he's been fantastic. And then again, Eberhard has to come. Eberhard's had to come back and down through the field. Friedosh has been leading.
Interesting. Friedosh has been taking the outside line every restart so far. He's just chosen the inside. Friedosh wants to cover off for turn 1. Make sure nobody can get a dive bomb up in there, I think.
Which, you know, your closest friends are keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. I think he knows that the 90 car will, if you give Eberhard the inside, he's sending it down into turn 1. I think this is a more defensive move from the 90 rather than a defensive move from the 3 and potentially the 94 behind.
Pace car's off. Green for the final time of the day. Just about a mile and a half to settle in. Oh, big wheelspin for everyone in the field except for Friedosh. That is exactly what the 98 car needs. 3, 4 wide for second place here into turn number 2. There we go. Oh, no. The 90 car gets dumped into turn at number 1. Big crash here. The big one, part number 2. He's on the first one for the first caution. Oh, and good grief. That was just clumsy there for the 21 car. Clearly angry. Understandably so, but that is not the way to deal with it. Just basically looks like he floored it across the track in reverse. We're under caution again. David Washington's had a spin into turn number 3 as well. You see him against the outside row. That restart went just about as terrible as it possibly could have gotten. And Washington got dumped on purpose by San Diego. We'll need to look at that after we take a look at this replay here. 4 wide into turn 1 never works out, especially on a restart. The 21 car takes a wild ride. And just up front, Washington gets taken out by San Diego under caution and on purpose.
I think that was just an opportunistic. I mean, it's green, white, checkered at a short track. All right, so what happens here? What in?
How else are you supposed to look at that other than deliberate? I'm sorry to Nieto, but there is only one way you can look at that. He kept on bumping him, got him loose, then hit him again to finish him off, and took out another driver in the process. That was not at all pretty. On board with Nieto here. Oh, that's what he's angry about. The 98 car squeezed him by and pushed him up, and then watch this. Just goes with him. It's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Sends him up at the outside wall. That has got to be accounting for something. That is definitely going to be a major penalty there for Nieto, no doubt, post-race after this one. And honestly, as much as I hate to take opinions sometimes, I would say that one would be deserved.
Yeah, but I partially understand that frustration because you see a big accident in front of you and you see that forming. The first thing that you don't expect is someone jamming it on your door on the inside, maybe collecting both of you involved. But again, for Nieto, that was not Not good at all. And I would expect it shows second place in the timing screen. I expect whatever place he gets not to hold up at the end of the race.
I mean, it's a green-white checkered on a short track. What are you supposed to do? You got to make up all the spots when you can so you can put yourself in a prime position for a restart if one comes, and that's exactly what he did. And I mean, it wouldn't have been such a big deal either, but the problem was he sent that driver right up into the outside wall and collected another car in the process. It was just an innocent bystander trying to get through clean. That's the big problem there, was that somebody who had nothing to do with this was caught up in it as well. Eberhardt, meanwhile, has been given the end-of-the-line penalty for causing that last caution. We'll rack them, stack them, we'll do it again.
Yeah, and it was Mutasi Major that was on the outside that got collected in that little. I want to see how far back also David Washington was when he made that lunge on the inside of Sam Nieto, and just see like everyone going into one, because there were 4 wide for the top 5 spots, and I had no clue what was going on the rest of the way back.
Well, the problem is the fact that the top 4 cars all spun the tires. And, well, it's pretty easy to guess what happened from there. It was just complete carnage as everybody tried to dice their way through. Like you said, single file starts. It will only happen once. Hopefully we won't get 4 wide this time round.
No, yeah, the double file only happens once. So the rest of the restarts, if we keep wrecking, will just be single file. So now if you're Freenach, you have to really defend from Nick Silver. That is your main rival at the moment.
Turns 3 and 4. Will they make it to the white flag, or will we go for green-white checker number 3? Andrew Freenach all the way to the outside wall. On the loud pedal early, we're back to racing. Nick Silver is green as well, just behind, but not nearly as good of a launch. Sean Castro might try to find something here into turn 1 for the 3 car. Silver's trying the outside line here. Castro's going to follow. Freenach is going to hold the lead off of turn 2 this time by. No driver sideways yet off of turn 2. They just got to make it about another quarter of a mile here, and they will be official with the race. 3 wide for the second position. White flag is out. That is it. Race official. It's ending this lap. Andrew Freenach with a massive jump on the field. Nick Silver side by side with Castro behind. Castro washes out, nearly wipes out Nick Silver. Nick Silver will be able to hang off in the second position for now. Still no dramas. Back to the field. Much cleaner restart than the last one. Andrew Freenach off of turn 4. He went so far back. He's back to the front. He will take the victory here at Richmond Raceway. Nick Silver finishes off in second. Castro will have to settle for third despite all of his best efforts.
And that was just a typical Andrew Freenach race. 3rd race in a row, and well, that's interesting.
That is James Ross. And is he having a fight with somebody down there? I think he might just be. He's having a little tug-of-war there with the bumpers with Daniel Eberhardt, believe it or not. For Andrew Freenach, though, exactly what he wanted to see, and Freenach will get to burn it down here on the front straightaway, hopefully. Well, he's going to go over to turn 1 and do it there. Might go for a Polish lap here all the way up to the outside wall. And, wow. Okay. Well, no burnouts for Freenach, it would seem. James Ross had a word or two to say about that one. Take a look at this one. I don't think Ross is terribly pleased, as that is an aggressive battle there into turn 3, and that is what sent Ross around. And he's going to now just come right down the track, gets hit there, and then Daniel Eberhardt he's going to just... Oh, wow. Okay, well, that explains that. Let's go to the official results. Andrew Freenach takes the victory. Half a second behind is Nick Silver. Sean Castro finishes out of the podium. Agdale Phillip in 4th with Matt Danson in 5th. Rhett McBride is in 6th with Michael Laraya in 7th. Sam Nieto in 8th. Dominic Howe 9th. Grant Davis rounds out the top 10. 2.1 seconds behind. William Schmidt is in 11th. Nicholas Mara is 12th. Liam Sheen, 13th. Bunatsi Major in 14th. Chris Rabel in 15th. Steve Durham, 16th. Kyle Kammer is in 17th. Michael Kuczynski is in 18th with Sean Callista in 19th. David Washington rounds at the top 20. Jonathan, you've got the rest of the field.
Well, Thomas George in 21st in an up-and-down day. James Ross in 22nd with the shenanigans at the end. Same with Daniel Eberhardt after getting spun on the final few laps, finishing 23rd. The 24 car of the the 21 car finishing 24th, unfortunately, after that second green-white checker, first green-white checkered. Matthew Marr in 25th. Brandon Bowie has had a rough day, down in 26th, as has Ross Cato in that first lap crash in 27th. Tom Morano, 13 laps down in 28th. Joseph Tice, again, the first caution. Same with Trevor Trigo, 29th and 30th. Then here are more of the fallout. Eric Stanford got hit by his teammate Steve Durham, and that was his race done and over. Garen Weinmaster, the inside wall and the back straightaway in 32nd. Bradley Burke was part of that first caution, that big one on the front straightaway. Stuart Price Jr. avoided that one, but unfortunately got collected in a mess of his own. 34th. Joe Yakes, Leszczynski, Shane Parrish, and Jeremy Miller were all caught up in that first caution, and they round out your field of 38.
The fastest lap, shockingly, was Kyle Kammer on one of the green-white checker laps, lap 208. That is not a sight that I expected to see personally, but you take what you can get, I suppose. Wow, what an unbelievable finish, though, and well, we got a couple of guys that are going to come on in and give us a bit of a chit-chat here, so let's toss things on over here to the, well, let's toss it over to you, Jonathan, here. You're standing by with Andrew Freenosh, our overall race winner of the day here at Richmond.
So I think I've made this joke a few times already with you, Andrew, that normally talking to me is never the good thing, because normally Evan takes 1 and I take 2 and 3, but I get to take the winner and I get to talk to you. How do you feel? Third one in a row here at Richmond, and you were the dominant car all day.
Yeah, to be honest, I never mind talking to you. If we're talking to one of you guys, it's a good night. So, yeah, feel great. Was extremely anxious through that entire race, all the cautions, pit strategy, and we just got lucky and it worked out tonight. So extremely happy to get it. Got a win on an oval. Good to know we can do that again. We had a good long run, good short run, good all around. So I'm really happy to get that done.
What was it like in that middle section when everyone was kind of on like a different pit strategy, almost a different tire strategy, where you were on a little bit older tires, then like Nieta was on the fresher ones, and then there was roll reversal after the next caution. Like, how was the car like in that? It almost made it an open setup race rather than a fixed setup race.
Yeah, did a lot of practice through the week, a lot of AFIX. They're in 2 NISs, kind of knew what the tires are going to do. They were really good for the first 10, 15 laps, but then they kind of evened out. So, yeah, it was hard to tell who was coming on fresh tires, who had speed, who was on the same. So you kind of just wanted to keep track position, keep as many people behind you as possible with, not knowing who's on, what strategy. So, yeah, I mean, it was just get out front and try to hold everybody off, and it paid off tonight.
And you are the first repeat winner of 2020. You won last time at Bristol Dirt. You've won here at Richmond. What does this do for your outlook on the rest of the season now that you're kind of solidifying your playoff spot and getting more playoff points?
Yeah, really just try to make ourselves up front more, learn the mile and a halves, and we don't have to worry about points, although we're trying to stay consistent. We finished in the top 3, I think, every race. Probably gonna end next week with Talladega, but we'll see. So, just trying to stay up front. We can take some more chance if we want to, but I want to keep solid. I know that the points really don't mean anything, but I'm trying to get good, solid finishes and keep that points lead. It means a lot to me, so that's what we're kind of aiming for.
All right, and before we let you go, Andrew, anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, big shout out to you guys. All your work you do with this league. It's great to run in. All the drivers, all the fans are watching. Big shout out to the Sim Racer. I know they started filming the other week. Everybody go check it out on Facebook and Twitter. It's the Sim Racer. I know they're getting close. It's going to be a movie on Amazon about sim racing in 2021. So big thanks to them for sponsoring. Finally have a sponsor in this car, and I hope I'm giving good exposure this year.
Well, if you've been talking to me every week, me or Evan almost every week, I mean, that's really good exposure for them. So thank you so much for talking to us, and we'll see you next week at Dega.
Yeah, have a good week, guys.
And that was your race winner of Andrew Freenosh. We are going to bring on up Nick Silver here from the second position. Worked his way up only 2 spots. Definitely not the biggest mover, but definitely still one of the highest finishers, despite all of the attrition that we've seen all day. Nick, you joined us up here in the booth here for the second position, and my goodness, what an absolute banger of a race we had today. It was just filled with all of the attrition you could possibly imagine, and yet you somehow managed to rise to the occasion and was able to fend off the field behind you to pick up the second position. So no doubt a tiring race for you as well. How are you feeling?
Oh man, I don't even know how to describe that race. We got off to a pretty good start, had a good car, and then all of a sudden, I think it was maybe lap the restart before lap 80 or so, all my sound went out, so I had no spotter, no car sounds, no nothing. So on that next caution, I think it was like maybe lap 110 or who knows what it was, had to back out of the game, come back in, was 3 laps down, and luckily caught the lucky dog a few times and somehow put it on the podium. I have no idea how.
It seemed like a lot of drivers were definitely struggling with the attrition and everything like that throughout the course of the race. I mean, we saw all the caution trains, especially at the end and at the start of the race. What do you think kind of caused things to kind of take a while to settle into their rhythm here? Because it definitely seemed like a lot of people were struggling over the course of the night.
Yeah, car was, you know, a little loose coming out of the corners, and then it would start pushing as you got into the run. So I think that, coupled with, you know, the multi-lanes that we had in this race for, you know, I don't think we've ever had that here at Richmond, but I think the multi-groove racing kind of contributed to that, everybody going all over the place. But yeah, I knew going in it was going to be all about keeping the car clean, and we pretty much did till the end there when, unfortunately, we got into Eberhardt, and I can't remember the other car, but other than that, she was scratch-free.
And then we, of course, come over to Talladega Superspeedway. And now Talladega is one of the wild card races. It's one of those races where just about everybody has got some sort of a shot to take the victory. And one slight mistake can see the end of well over half the field of the cars. So what's going to be the strategy come Talladega? It's one of the big names, definitely one of the longest tracks on the schedule as well. So do you reckon the strategy will kind of change from here? Or will it just be more of a case of trying to stay out of trouble?
Honestly, my plan for Talladega is going to be to go like hell. You know, I tried to stay out of trouble, and, you know, we were trying to work as a team at Daytona, you know, stay in the back, but ended up just riding for the whole race, not having any fun, and then still ended up getting wrecked there at the end. So I don't know what the rest of the guys at Keeping It Real have planned, but we're going to go to the front. We're going to try to stay at the front, and, you know, if we end up in a cloud of smoke, at least we had fun getting there.
And before I let you go here, Nick, anybody that you'd like to shout out for us, stage is yours.
Well, we got to thank SimSeats for sponsoring this great series. You know, without them, this wouldn't be possible. Evan, everyone at RealSimRacing for putting on a great league. You guys at RaceSpot TV for putting on a great show all the time. Got to give a shout out to Circle B Diecast, Plan B Sales. Use our code KIR 2021, and you'll get free shipping off $20 or more. And got to give a shout out to all my teammates at Keeping It Real Esports.
Thank you, Nick, for taking the time to join us tonight. Congratulations on the second place here at Richmond, and best of luck next week at Talladega.
Thank you, guys.
That was our second place finisher, Nick Silver, and well, Jonathan, we're going to bring in our third and final driver to give us a talk today of Sean Castill, bringing it home to round out the podium. You're standing by with our third place finisher.
Hey, Sean, do you have a copy?
We got you.
All right, so that was a pretty up and down race. You were in that mid-pack for a lot of it, and then towards the end, this 52 car emerged in third place. How was your race going, especially in that part of the race where everyone was on a different tire strategy?
Yeah, exactly. So the NIS had 5 sets, and that basically just barely got you through the race. You can be a little aggressive on your pit strategy with that, so I knew we had to save a set, so we sacrificed that early run, and with those quick cautions there, once we were sacrificial, it was able to kind of neutralize the tires. So we didn't fall back too far, but yeah, just had the extra set. Still had a set in the pits, but I don't know. I guess some people used most of theirs, but we just took our time. I run a pretty heavy brake bias forward here, pass them on entry, let them burn their stuff off on exit. It was a good run.
And obviously, it was a very, very up and down day, and finally you got in a good position at the end to maybe try and steal the win. But what was it like, especially on those overtime restarts, where the first one is obviously double file, but then due to that caution coming out, it's single file for the second one? Like, was there a different way of trying to go about getting through those?
Nick, teammate P2, great run by him, great recovery. He had that top lane figured out. I was probably just a tick faster than he was, but you don't wreck your teammate. That's the first rule, and try not to move him unless it's for the win. So, yeah, once we got single file, it was his shot. Once he wasn't able to take a dive at the leader, I had to take a turn at him, and we had a pretty good little run there. But Yeah, it's all about track position here and just trying to cycle forward. That's what we were able to do.
And what does this do for your season moving forward? You know, obviously you've gotten, this will be the 3rd top 5 finish, 4th top 10 finish, and behind Andrew Freenage, you'll actually be 2nd in points ahead of Trudell and Rabel at the end of this week. So what does this do for your season?
We're trying to take everything we've ever learned and just top 10 them to death. Those top 5s, when you don't turn a top 10 into a P20, sometimes you get P8 with that and P5, and if you save your tires correctly, you can be sitting where we're at. And so that's the mantra this season. We'll see where it gets us. Like to think Circle B Diecast, enter promo code Keeping It Real 2001, KIR 2001, 2021, probably better year for you to enter. Yeah, Keeping It Real, entire teams top to bottom. We're knocking out solid finishes. Like to think them. Noah Talks NASCAR, fantastic. If you ever heard of the YouTube there.
All right. And anyone else you want to thank besides?
You guys, absolutely. So, RaceSpot, we have RSR, just a competition. We had a couple pretty lengthy yellows there, but for the most part, when we get going, we're a good show.
All right. Well, thank you for spending your time with us, Sean, and we'll see you next week out at Talladega. Hope your car survives that one as well.
Oh yeah, that's another sit and wait. Yeah, absolutely, guys. Have a good night.
And that was your 3rd place finisher there, Sean Casto, finishing it off in the podium. And wow, that is just about going to be it then to wrap up what has been an absolute phenomenal race here at Richmond Raceway, Jonathan. But next week up is, of course, going to be Talladega Superspeedway, and that is bound to be a barnstormer of a race. We both know how Talladega can be, how chaotic it can be, especially on the last lap of the race. So I have a feeling the attrition that we saw at Richmond, well, we're not quite finished with it just yet.
No, I think the insurance bill after this race might be smaller than next week, although Daytona turned out to be fantastic, had a door-banging duel to the end of the race that we saw, and it's just going to depend on where everyone puts. Again, you know, Sean and Nick mentioned it, keeping it real. They're both teammates, 2 and 3rd today. They might work together and work towards the rear of the field. What do other teams try and do? What do other drivers try and do? There was some in the Winter Series, and there's some even early on in Daytona that made a name by staying low at the front. So it's all about the strategy of where you want to be.
Strategy is very much going to be the key next week, and also survival skills will definitely be put to the test at the 2.6-mile super speedway in Talladega, Alabama. For us, though, here from Richmond tonight, that is going to be about all the time we are going to have for one day. I've been Ola Rampo, bringing you all the coverage from start to finish of today's race with Jonathan Burke beside me in the commentary box, and Hugo Louise doing a fantastic job, as always, behind the cameras for today's race. We thank you all for joining us here on RaceSpot TV for Monday Night Action. We'll see you all next week at Talladega.